This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Angry vendors block the beach at Cabbage Beach. They demand the Prime Minister to intervene after property owners erect a fence. Tourism Minister D'Aguilar says the vendors should be accommodated. And the mother of a man killed by police says he was acting erratically. Plus, in our discussion today, you've heard about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and what happened on Black Wall Street 100 years ago. But did you know that the events there might have sealed the fate and controlled the destiny of the Bahamas? We'll tell you how and the connection. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Thursday, June 17th, 2021. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Laverne Gardner will be joining us also this morning in Morning Blend Business. We are talking with the chair of the Reef Committee, a group plotting the way forward for Freeport. We'll talk about their report and where we go from here. It's all straight ahead this morning. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, angry Cabbage Beach vendors breaking through a newly erected fence blocking access to Paradise Island and Paradise Island Beach. The owners of the property, Access Industries, saying that clearing work on the property started for a condominium hotel development that, due to safety concerns, access to the beach through their property was closed. But vendors who said they were unaware of the development were furious to not only find a fence blocking their path yesterday, but their belongings were removed as well from the beach overnight and placed near the road. At one point during the demonstration yesterday, which started around 11 o'clock in the morning, a man attempted to remove the hinges of the fence with a hammer. The fence was eventually opened after another man used a wrench to remove one of the fence poles. Vendors expressing their frustration yesterday. In a statement, Access Industries, though, which owns the property located between the Riu Hotel and Sunrise Beach Villas, said that the Paradise Island project is expected to generate more than $250 million in investment and economic activity for the country, including new jobs in construction, tourism, and related industries. It said, quote, due to safety concerns during the work phase, the path that runs over the private tract to the beach will be closed. Unauthorized items that had been left on the private property have been carefully collected, and security will have them available for pickup through Friday. Meanwhile, Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar saying that he was blindsided by the decision by Access Industries to block access to Cabbage Beach. De Aguilar said he informed the developers that they must come up with a plan that accommodates the vendors and the public. Health Minister Raymond Wells says the Bahamas will have an additional 170 nurses in the healthcare system by the end of the 2021-2022 fiscal year. He was speaking yesterday in the House of Assembly during the budget debate. He says currently the University of the Bahamas graduated some 40 nurses with a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. He says these nurses are set to sit the Nursing Council exams in November. Another 30 nurses will be graduating by the end of this summer session. Individuals who are 60 and older account for the most vaccinated group on the Family Islands, according to data from the National COVID-19 Vaccine Consultative Committee. Bahamas started rolling out COVID-19 vaccines on New Providence in March. The rollout was expanded to the Family Islands the following month. As of Tuesday, 6,609 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine were administered on the Family Islands, excluding Grand Bahama. Of that figure, 1,352 doses were administered to individuals age 60 and older, 1,204 doses administered to individuals who work in the hospitality industry, and 860 doses administered to unemployed or retired individuals. Overseas, Hong Kong police using a sweeping national security law today to arrest 5 editors and executives of a pro-democracy newspaper on charges of colluding with foreign powers. The first time the legislation has been used against the press in yet another sign of an intensifying crackdown by Chinese authorities in the city long known for its freedoms. Police say they had evidence that more than 30 articles published by Apple Daily played a crucial part in what they called a conspiracy with foreign countries to impose sanctions against China and Hong Kong. Apple Daily said in a statement that the move left it speechless, but it vowed to continue its reporting. The newspaper has long been one of the most outspoken defenders of Hong Kong's freedoms, and in recent years has often criticized the Chinese and Hong Kong governments for walking back promises that the territory could retain those freedoms for 50 years after the former British colony was handed over to China in 1997. The newspaper, as a result, found itself a frequent target. Apple Daily founder Jimmy Lai is currently serving a 20-month prison sentence after being convicted of playing a role in unauthorized protests in 2019, when Hong Kongers took to the streets in massive anti-government demonstrations in response to a proposed extradition law that would have allowed suspects to stand trial in China. In sports, local amateur golfers will be busy the Albany Golf Course today as they kick off the 2021 Bahamas Golf Federation's Royal Fidelity National Amateur Golf Championships. The 4-day, 4-round golf tournament wraps up on Father's Day this Sunday at the Royal Blue Golf Course at Bahamar. On Friday and Saturday, golfers will play the Ocean Club Golf Course on Paradise Island. You can read more about it in today's Guardian Sports section. From the NBA, the Hawks rallied from down 26 points to stun the Philly 76ers in Game 5 last night. Trae Young ran off the court clapping and yapping toward the few Hawks fans that braved the Philly crowd and stuck around and were rewarded with a comeback victory for the ages. Atlanta with their 109-106 victory Wednesday night in Game 5, taking a 3-2 lead in that Eastern Conference semifinal. In the West, the Clippers beating the Jazz 119-111 to take a series lead there. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In weather for today, we've got rich tropical moisture that continues to stream over the islands, enhancing shower activity mainly in the northwest Bahamas. High pressure slowly shifts east of the islands. Beachgoers in the southeast Bahamas should exercise caution due to the risk of rip currents along east and south coast beaches, and mariners in the northwest Bahamas should be alert for water spouts. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, look for partly cloudy, warm, and humid conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight. Gusty winds and higher seas expected in or near heavy showers and thunderstorms. Some thunderstorms may be strong to severe at times. Winds northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots, falling light and variable at times. Seas 2 to 4 feet. For the central and southeast Bahamas, partly sunny and hot with a chance of passing showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and warm tonight with a chance of showers or thunderstorms. Small craft caution in effect for boaters in the southeast Bahamas. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots in the central islands, 15 to 20 knots in the southeastern islands. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the central Bahamas, but 4 to 6 feet in the southeastern Bahamas. Temperature-wise, we are at about 80, 81 degrees right now. Mostly cloudy skies in Nassau. About 77 with rain in parts of Grand Bahama and Freeport. We are looking at highs getting up to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. You're listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day. Guardian Radio 96.9.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
BTC is elevating the Bahamas with our super fast fiber internet experience. More people in more places can enjoy the best home connection starting with 100 megabit speeds. With over $6.5 million invested, our network grows stronger each day, delivering the best home internet for all your needs. Call us at 242-225-5282. Visit btcbahamas.com or any retail store to upgrade to the super fast fiber internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all there.
Wake up today. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, live from Grand Bahama, I've got Laverne Gardner. Good morning, Laverne.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, it's a beautiful overcast day here.
Oh my, you all have been getting a lot of rain up there. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. Well, we hope so, but more of it comes this way. We're still a little behind, it seems, in the rain, but yep, so that's good stuff. All right, so we have a lot to get to this morning. It's going to be a jam-packed show. Coming up, we've got more weather and traffic, and in a few minutes we're going to start a conversation about the Bahamas and what could have been. Did you know that Canada was very, very interested in annexing the Bahamas? This was about 100 years ago, and some events that happened elsewhere 100 years ago contributed, maybe not entirely, but contributed to derailing that conversation, and that is the reason we don't sing "O Canada" as our national anthem today. We'll get into that. Dr. Chris Kerr is going to be here to tell us all about this fascinating story this morning, so looking forward to that. Then later in Morning Blend Business, we're going to be talking about your island, Laverne, Grand Bahama, and Freeport specifically, and the Reef Committee. We've got the chairman with us this morning. He's going to be talking about their report that they submitted to the government on the way forward for Freeport, what can be done to save the city. It's a lot of work.
I look forward to it.
A lot of work to be done. We need a report like that for the whole country, actually. But anyway. We're going to get into that. But let's start with what's in the news. And in the news, a big headline in the National Guardian, angry vendors unblock the beach that was blocked, I guess. We're going to get into that. I know a lot of people have a lot to say about that, and they've been talking about that for nearly 24 hours now, but we'll get to that in a bit. There's another story I want to talk about, and this one is about the mother of a man who was killed by police, who says that her son was behaving erratically over the past few days, and she tried to get some help for him. Take a listen to this report, and then we can talk about it. This is a report from our Jared Higgs.
The man who was shot dead by police after wielding a cutlass is 29-year-old Ernst Steve Charles, according to his mother.
When he hear ambulance come, so he go get the cutlass. When I see that, I open the door, the yellow police was with her, and me and them ran together. And the next one was with her and direct the ambulance. When he see that...
58-year-old Ivana Joseph says her son was behaving erratically in the days and hours leading up to his death, clearing out all the cupboards and the fridge in their home. He was also escorted home by police at 11 on Monday night after taking a post-curfew walk. His grieving mother said she tried to get him help.
See, act bad and deny. So I say, someone tell me, so he maybe have stress, call pastor.
When the pastor couldn't come, Joseph says she called two family friends to speak to her son, but he tried to attack one of them. That's when she called police and an ambulance in the hopes of having him admitted to Sandilands.
An ambulance. And when he hear ambulance come, so he get up and go get the cutlass.
At that point, Charles's mother and an officer at the home ran down the stairs of the apartment. An officer below fired up at the 29-year-old, hitting him in the chest. Minister of National Security Marvin Dame says he was briefed on the matter.
So that they followed the law. The coroner was called in immediately after the shootings.
But Charles's mother thinks the police used too much force.
No, I called the police to come help me, but I ain't call them to come shoot them to kill. So I know. So when you see cutlass, you scared. So I know. So he head look like he turned. So if you want to help me, you could shoot him on the hand and shoot him on the foot and try to put him down. So you shoot him on the chest.
The 29-year-old leaves behind a 6-year-old daughter. Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Jared Higgs.
Okay. We talked about this a bit yesterday. We questioned why deadly force is always the answer, especially when you're dealing with somebody who is not armed with a firearm. Do we not have any tasers here? Or is there no other method here when you are being charged at, if so they say, by a knife or a cutlass? And as the mother is asking there, if you must shoot, why aim for the chest? We know what happens to you. So sometimes you are aiming for somewhere else, but that happens. But let's talk about it. And just a few weeks ago, this was on June 6th, I retweeted a story that aired on CBS Sunday Morning about how, compared to police departments in Europe, U.S. police are more likely or quicker to use deadly force and, in turn, kill people far more than law enforcement departments elsewhere in the world, right? And I tweeted that out, and I said, are we paying attention, Bahamas? And here we are again. But in those articles, CBS Sunday Morning did a very fantastic show, a whole show, 90 minutes on tactics used by police departments in the U.S. and abroad, and how in Europe, when a call like that is made, a mental health team is sent along with the officers. Mental health team, not a regular ambulance. This is filled with psychiatrists and people who can deal with or evaluate at least to see if this is a situation that requires perhaps medication, counseling, something else other than a police officer and what police officers do best, it seems, right? We have had so many cases like this over the past year alone. When are we going to get it? When are we going to get it? What say you, Laverne?
I agree with you, Dwight. Hearing the story, hearing the mother talk, she wanted help for her son. I appreciate the fact that, of course, policemen, their families want them to return home too, but maybe it's in our training, or maybe I should say it isn't in our training, but certainly, I don't know. I'm with the mother. Aim for the leg or something if you have to use your weapon. But perhaps in the training, they need to cover how to disarm someone without using deadly force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boy, we don't know. Have you heard of there being tasers here? Do they have them at all? I know tasers can be dangerous as well. They can be deadly, but sometimes this situation isn't called for a gun.
Right. And chances are, if you used a taser in that situation, well, then I don't know how many feet you have to be away. So I don't know all of that. But, if a taser was used, chances are he may still be alive today.
Yeah.
And, that's not. So I just figure there has to be, we need to find a better way, because like you're saying, these kinds of stories are happening more frequently. here at home. So we have to figure out a way.
Yep, and it's very sad, very scary. We know this is a major issue in the U.S. as well. People call for help, and the police show up, and it ends just like this story.
Right.
And it's they're calling
And
about
I'm
a
just
family
thinking
member.
a cutlass versus a gun.
Again, that could have ended badly. Definitely not denying that.
Right.
But perhaps shooting at the person. Is that what's necessary in a situation like that?
Yeah, maybe he wasn't, let's give the officer the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he wasn't aiming for his chest and it wasn't his intention to shoot to kill, right?
All right, let's hear what you have to say, folks. I think we've got one more of the lines working. Yep. So is that right? We know 325.
We got 2 lines this
Look
morning.
At that. Look at that. We're stepping up into the world. By tomorrow, it might be all 3. 325-4259 and 325-4316. Working for you today. We're getting there. You can always tweet us at morningblend969 or facebook.com/morningblend969. Text us 422-4796. We want to thank BTC. They did come out. Yesterday. This third line, that's us. That's on us now. And we're going to address that in a moment. So thank you to BTC for coming out to address that problem. Okay, let's take these calls. Let's hear what you have to say. Good morning, caller. What do you make of all of this?
Good morning, Mr. Strachan.
Hi.
Hey, and Miss Dwight?
Yes.
All right, and good morning to your listeners. Dwight, tell me something. The tasers, I think the taser system, what they use in other parts of the world, will be good for us to use here in the Bahamas. Maybe we could save some lives. But condolence to the family and all families who lose loved ones, especially from where the police might have to kill them or stop them in their tracks. Dwight, I know lawyer or nothing. I don't know all the information, but I believe over the years listening to radio talk shows and stuff, I hear people maybe to try reach out to people like Paul Thompson, former commissioner, assistant commissioner of police. The police don't train to shoot nobody in their leg or to shoot nobody in their arm. The police train to eliminate the threat. You understand? To stop you. I think their first priority is to go back home to their family and to protect all of us citizens out here, even if they have to protect us from our own family. If you want a death run and you have a death sentence, and you think you could swing a cutlass out of police and you won't care, use the one with the gun and he wants the gun, the cutlass more powerful than the gun, then you can get what you're looking for. We ain't rejoicing and we ain't happy when nobody gets killed out here. But you can respect the damn police, though. You can respect the police. All right, they got to go back home to their family also. You swinging your cutlass, you could be crazy or not. All right, and family members, we need to do more to see if we can help our families before they get to these states. That we got to call the police and the police got to take them out of their miseries. So we feel the pain for the family, and it's sad to know the person might have been had a mental problem and he had to get killed. You don't swing no damn cutlass at the police. Keep up the good work, Dwight.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot. Well, I mean, hey, it's possible that everybody could have gone home. It's possible that everybody could have gone home, right?
And two, I don't know, maybe I missed that in the report. Did they say that he was swinging did the report say that he was swinging the cutlass at the police, or when he saw the police in ambulance, he brandished a he went and he grabbed a cutlass?
The report from the police said that the officer felt that he was in danger, and as a result, discharged his weapon. All right, let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bahamas.
Hi, good morning.
Regarding the police situation, I think once a person is not carrying a firearm, the police should not use their weapon that can actually kill the person. However, it's very dangerous out there. And in the cases of firearm, police should use the maximum force because there's very powerful forces out there. So it'd be one or the other. And so But there is a sort of training that the senior officers need to give to the younger officers, because some persons in the force believe that once you're police, you're free to do anything. We're not really talking just about killing, but you can actually make false arrest or threaten persons to arrest them. So there's some talk going around the place by some young officers, or even COVID officers. Oh, I can lock you up, I can do this, I can do that. Mm-hmm. So we need a revamp of it, and a look at the entire system, and we also need to use social workers where that is warranted. But in terms of deadly force should match by deadly force as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Cutlasses can be dangerous, though, but yeah, I hear what you're saying, and this is what we're saying. Perhaps another.
Well, Dwight, if I could bring in something else in the mix, and I just want to, rest this out. Do you remember there was an American in Green Turtle Key? I think it was in the Tribune. He opened fire on police officers, Bahamian police officers. He opened fire on them, and somehow he wasn't killed. He ended up going to court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He didn't have a cutlass.
Sure, it wasn't a toy gun or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a toy gun.
Okay.
He didn't have a cutlass.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a toy gun. He actually opened fire.
Mm-hmm.
He started yelling at the police, cursing at the police, and he opened fire, and he was able to hold on to his life and make it to court.
What are you suggesting, Laverne? I mean, you're saying that. Are you suggesting that people in other parts of the country who even say the word gunmetal might find themselves in a serious situation? What are you suggesting?
I'm just recalling a story.
Oh, okay. All right.
I just find it very interesting. In some instances, these officers are able to subdue a person, or they're able to deal with the situation, and the person made it out alive.
Interesting. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning.
Hi.
The lady that you're speaking to, your guest, she's saying she's with the mother, but each case is different. I mean, the police officer is there. The police officer is being attacked with a cutlass. And it's not like this is this person is just standing still waiting for someone to aim for their leg or aim for their arm. This person is coming after the police officer brandishing a cutlass. You attack a police officer, you expect to get shot. That's simple. This is the Wild Wild West in Nassau. And these guys are opening fire on the police. If the police, this mother, says she calls for the police, she calls for the pastor. If the police had reached there 1 minute late, and that guy had killed someone with that cutlass, they would have blamed the police.
No, they wouldn't
for reaching 1 minute late.
They wouldn't have. But
Okay,
I do get your point. But that's what we're saying, right? Perhaps there's another way. If he's got a cutlass, maybe if you had a taser, we could have.
But if you had a taser, you can only use a taser if the police have hands on the person. If the police have hands on, you can't use the taser from afar. I mean, you can use from afar, but if the person has a cutlass, how could the police use a taser? Explain that to me.
It happens all over.
How could the police apply a taser to a person who's brandishing a cutlass at them or a gun? We have to think about
it happens. Come now. It happens.
How?
Very easily. What are you talking about?
The
Seriously?
police have to have hands on that person.
No, you don't.
In order to
You can
apply
do
a
it from.
taser.
You don't. Go on YouTube. Many videos. You can be this.
That's
that comes with
incredible.
training.
That can't happen.
That comes with training, and
These
and
guys
people
are
know.
attacking police officers. And when there's a lot of shooting and killing in this country, you guys want to blame the police.
No, we don't.
You brandish the the police, you expect to get hurt. Okay, thank you.
What we're saying is there are mental problems in this country, right? Yes, if you have a gun and you're shooting the police, obviously you know what needs to happen, right? But if you get a call that my family member is acting erratically, is your response, should your response be, if that person doesn't have a gun, to shoot the person? That's what we're asking. And when you've been told the person's been acting erratically for days, should the police be the only one who show up at the scene? That is what we're asking. We have had a number of situations just like this. We're asking, this goes back to many of us believing people are disposable. Well, that's another crazy person off the streets. Okay, well, then maybe that's the way we need to deal with things here then. But just admit that's what you're going to do.
Okay.
If you're crazy, you're going to get killed.
And two, let's again, I'm going by the story that was just played. At no point did it, in the story, did I hear that the gentleman attacked the police. I understand that he brandished a cutlass and that he was in fear for his life. I'm not justifying that, but I think that we can all agree that he was suffering from some sort of mental issues. I'm not out there. I'm not a police officer. I appreciate the fact that the police officer was in fear for his life. I'm not disputing that. All I'm just saying is there a better way. Yeah. And we have to be able to look at that. You know, we say, you know, it's crazy out there and the police have to do what they have to do. And that's a wonderful stance to take until it's your loved one, right?
Wow.
Because that's how we talk, you know, oh, the police need to, until it's your loved one. And then when it's your loved one, then it's a different situation.
Yeah. All right, let's take some more calls. Good morning, caller. You are on the air. Caller, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, yes, good morning.
Good morning, this Guardian Radio.
Yes, it is.
Talk to you.
You are on the air.
Yes, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. Okay, I heard the conversation about the police shooting. The only thing I could say about it seems like the police is more deadly, uses more deadly force than the defense force. Because they're not shooting on the high seas and the broadmen. I think the last set of shooting out there on the high seas with the Dominican Republic guys which shot at the defense force, and they brought those guys in. They could erase those guys on the high seas. And so it seemed like the police is more deadly, uses more deadly force than the defense force. Thank you, Dwight.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot. Let's take another call and we'll get to your text messages. Good morning, caller, you're on the air.
Good morning, Mrs. Rowan. How you doing, sir?
Doing well.
Good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
Mr. Strachan, that gentleman who just called, he don't know how things is working.
Which one?
The gentleman who talks said you have to have your hands on the person for things that work.
He's a little confused. But...
Because he probably don't watch TV or don't go on YouTube. I'm glad that you said to go on YouTube and find that out because he really don't know how tasers work. Tasers work exactly like how guns work.
Especially if you know how to use them. If you know how to use them, you can do a lot of things with them. And in the wrong hands, it can be as guns, right? But if you're trained and you know how to deal with the situation, if you recognize that, okay, well, obviously reasoning with this person is not going to work, then I have to do this, right? And this is what we're saying. I'm surprised that this hasn't. Are we sure they don't have tasers? That doesn't make this very, very bizarre. But again, training is absolutely necessary, and we've seen horror stories in the U.S. as well where the officer claims they reached for the taser and then accidentally pulled out the gun. But anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, we've got to really, really, really reevaluate how we deal with these situations here. We'll take this final call, and we're going to get to your messages. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi. Good morning.
And good morning, Laverne.
Good morning.
I didn't put the last name on it this morning.
Yes, I realize that. Thank you.
Good for you.
Hey, Luane and Dwight, that matter, in my opinion, right, does differently, man. Because like Laverne said, right, the report, a lot of a lot of persons come on this radio with a different report than what was actually said on the radio or the news, right? So that means we ain't working with all of the information behind what really transpired, right? So I believe the officer, like you and like what you said, right? The tasers are essential part of policing in the world today, right? It saves lives, right? When guns don't save life, guns was designed to take life, right? That's the design of a gun. So if I allegedly have a cutlass and you have a gun, the person with the gun have that advantage because and right off the bat, right? Our police should be trained not just to take a life, because a chest, if once you shoot somebody in their chest, you are trying to kill them, and because of the type of policing we have today, right? Everything they use, right, instantly is I'm in fear for my life, but people could be in fear for their life too, right? So I don't feel a police should just shoot somebody in their chest. He could have been shot in the arm where he had when he was holding the cutlass, right? He could have been shot inside his legs to get him down, right? But when you can shoot somebody in their chest, you ultimately trying to kill that individual. And we have a lot of police on the force, right? Would have no problem in taking people out, because they feel as if this gun on my side is to do exactly that, right? So when you put all of that power on anybody, because as the police force on to join an organization like the police force, but you didn't give them the actual training they need, then we can see a lot of these, and we've seen it happen all over in America, but the only difference between us is that we have white police blatantly killing black people for absolutely nothing in America. But
it's not
right?
just white police, but okay, but the police.
Yes, well, Caucasian white police, right? But we are blacks on blacks. If we continue to kill out all of the black men in this country for any satisfactory reason, who's going to fight for this country? Who's going to fight for us? When the gunmen, or they're killing up each other, right? And then the police killing them out also, right? There ain't be nobody here for us to fight. You'll be safe and wonderful show as usual.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you made an interesting point that sometimes those people are, especially if you're having a mental issue, you are confused about the situation as well. Seeing the police come at you, yeah, that can be. We're not making excuses, just saying that there are better ways, especially when you get a call like this. It's not an intruder. It's not some stranger doing something. It's a family member, right? And there is no gun. There must be a better way.
You talked about the report that said, in some countries, when they get a call like that, they bring out mental health professionals to see if they can de-escalate the situation.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to your text messages. Quite a few of these. Someone says here, I feel for the mother. However, weapons are just as dangerous in the hands of crazy people. Also, this could have been a story about a man who chopped his mother into little pieces. Could have been. Yes, absolutely. It wasn't, but it could have been. Sure. Okay, anyway. Lethal and non-lethal force could be used. Rubber bullets and the like can be used. The police are trained to shoot in body mass, not smaller parts of the body. Yeah, we reckon. This one says, encounters with the police in the Bahamas have two options. You lock up or police involve killing. We need to get training on a third option, or even a fourth. Right? Could be many more. This one says, my heart grieves for the family of this man in this unfortunate situation. I agree with the observation that this is currently not in the training of police officers. It should also be noted that they are not mental health first responders. There is a gap that exists for this type of issue. Let's have a different type of specially trained personnel for this. It's easy for us to formulate an opinion. I think that we need to be a little less critical because they are doing what they're trained to do. You're making sense until your last two sentences. That's exactly what we're saying. We're having that discussion about when are we going to realize that we do need to have a unit
Right, that there
of
is
mental
a
health.
better way.
Right? So we're not being critical. We're just saying that we're doing some nonsense here. We're killing people when they need help. When they need help. Right? So we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Because obviously if you don't talk about it, it'll never happen. Right? So, yeah. Okay, anyway. Let's get to this text here. Dwight and Laverne, police officers are trained to kill, not injure. And despite we've had many police-involved killings, 2 in recent days, it appears that we're years away from changing this policy. Well, that last one, the one before this, that person had a gun and was doing some crazy stuff. And so it's a different situation. It's a different, although it appears they might have had a mental, although I think the neighbors would say they always acted strangely. But anyway, that's, again.
Right.
This person says, can you confirm if the police, I was thinking that, I was going to ask that in a moment. Can you confirm if the police had body cameras? If they were optional, the camera would have given an accurate account of what really happened, as we only have the words of the police. My mind around that as well, Texter. I am very curious about that. Would love to know. Would love to know.
Are we using them? We have them, right? We got the
Supposedly.
announcement that they had the body cams in. Are they being used?
Good question. This one says here, the issue of to the beach. Okay, we're going to get to that in a second, I think. But I always think it's amazing. This is the second time we've had an issue with these people, right? Their name is Access Industries. It's just the most ironic thing.
Isn't it? I was thinking the same thing.
It's just so crazy. I remember the last time it happened. Is it Access Industries? Okay.
It's denying access.
Oh, boy, I tell you. Okay.
Well, maybe it's not access for everyone.
Okay, well, that's just the Bahamian way.
Yeah.
This one says, that incident on Green Turtle and what happened here are not the same. Are not the same officers? Well, okay, no one said they were, but they are members of the police force. So, yeah, well. This one says, Dwight, that police killing to me is not justified. In this country, it seems as though the police can get away with too much. And something here, I don't know what this word is. Okay. One of the caller's views concerns me. Disrespecting the police means you can be killed. Help me understand this. There's no if here. The guy had a cutlass. The police shot him in the chest. Are not a law unto themselves. Some of these callers trouble me. I hope that the last caller is not a police officer who carries a gun. Okay. This one says, I'm not saying this happened, but if I'm a police officer and someone comes at me brandishing a cutlass or a knife, I'm shooting to kill. Well, okay, that's fine. But if you had a taser, would you still grab your gun? Answer me that one. Answer me that one. All right. I'll wait for you. This one says, my God, that man was mentally sick. It's just like being physically ill. So you're telling me that any one of us can become mentally ill? Are these callers saying that we deserve to be killed for this illness? Apparently they are. Apparently they are. We deserve to be killed like this? If you're a tourist or white, our police can use kid gloves. But if you're black and Bahamian, they fear for their lives. We are really still enslaved. Wow. Oh, boy. Okay. This one here. If that was the caller's son, he would not bang this. Too bad he was crazy. He had to be put out of his misery. The problem is we've forgotten that we're dealing with people. We're treating black Bahamians like animals, because I know that if that was a white crazy man, they would have not killed him. Oh, boy. Yes, Miss Laverne, the man fired 7 shotgun rounds and the police ran for cover, then brought someone in to negotiate. Boy. Okay, and then they go on to say, to that uninformed caller who refused to let his fingers do the walking and renew his mind, a quick Google search returned taser devices shoot 2 metal probe darts a distance of 15 feet. That's 15 feet to reach an attacker before he reaches you. That said, I don't trust our trigger-happy police with tasers either. Well, that's another story, but it goes back to training. And
Right.
by the way, that same report that I retweeted again today talked about how in the U.S. the average training in the police academy is, I think they said it was 17 weeks, 12 to 17 weeks. And in Europe, some parts of Europe, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 years. 2 to 4 years. What side do we fall on? Think about that for
Right.
a moment. Okay. Not everyone who threatens the police is being killed. A few weeks ago, a guy pulled a gun on the police. I was surprised to read that in the Tribune. That person got bail.
Yeah, that story and that happened, and I think it was Green Turtle Key, is very interesting because, as one of the texters mentioned, he fired the police officers who were there. I am assuming they may have been unarmed. In the story, it's saying that they ran, and then Defense Force officers came with machine guns, but those machine guns were never discharged, and somehow they were able to reason with this gentleman, who some say may have been inebriated. I'm not,
Oh.
And he ended up going. So we also have to shine a light on the way that we deal with each other in this country.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that's also a part of it, whether we care to admit it or not. I'm not out there saying that the police are bad. I'm just saying that in the times in which we live, there are other measures, other ways. And you're right, they aren't mental health care workers. And so it's a conversation that we need to have. When you get a call like that, when 911 gets a call like that, we need to fill that gap.
Mm-hmm.
Who should we dispatch and how?
Yep, exactly. Getting a message from one of our psychologist friends here. They only have to invite us to be a part of training. Even if we aren't a part of the initial response, we can come as they start the de-escalation. Yeah, we have to get to that point. We have to understand that we have a lot of people. We talked about this during Mental Health Awareness Month last month, that we've got a number of people battling mental health issues, right? And this is going to continue to be a problem in this country. All right, let's read the rest of these text messages. Someone says here, during an interview with a family member, the lady said the officer asked the man to put away the cutlass, and then the man continued charging at the officer. I believe in this situation, the officer had to defend himself. We're not disagreeing. We're just saying, should it have been with his firearm? Right? That's what we're saying. This one says, did the police try talking to the young man in a sympathetic way? That's not really their job.
Right.
That's not really what.
And so,
I mean, sometimes
again,
that works. Some officers are good.
Gap.
Some officers are good at that. I've seen it. Some are very good, but not everybody's going to have that ability.
Right.
And so that's asking a lot. But anyway, we spend all the money on drones and shot spotters, but no money was left for tasers. This is another text. The level of willful disobedience is so high, this too has the police afraid of not going home. I'm sure. Someone, okay. Please let Laverne know that the sister was on the news, and she said that her brother did not listen to the police and charged at him. Okay, we get that. We understand.
Okay.
Are you hearing what we're saying, though? You're not hearing what we're saying. He didn't have a gun.
I think that they are, but everybody has their opinion and their own point of view. I still stand with the fact that we have to figure out a better way, especially when we are encountering situations where people are obviously having a mental break or they are experiencing mental health issues. What that looks like and how that will work, we have to sit down and figure it out. Even as we continue to shine a light that more and more people seem to be having mental health issues. How do we address that? There has to be a procedure in place. When we get a call like this, do we reach out to mental health workers and say, this is the situation that's going on. Even if we don't invite them on the scene, will there be officers who may be specifically trained in that area who try to de-escalate the situation, and then you go from there. So these are the things that we need to do, because not everybody who may be brandishing a weapon is in their right mind.
Yeah.
Their intention is to harm the police or harm their family members. They may be having some sort of a mental break. And if we can have an intervention and everybody goes home safely, that is the outcome that we want to strive for. Will it always happen? Probably not. But we'd like to know that we have done our best to try to arrive at that outcome.
Yeah. Wow. A couple more of these. Are you saying that if I need mental, I don't know what you're saying, mental help, don't call the police? Am I saying that? I'm saying that often when you call the police, when you're dealing with a situation like that, it ends badly. That's what I'm saying. The blatant disregard for human life is an issue in the Bahamas. Every life has worth. We didn't create life, so we should not take it without exhausting every possible solution. This one here, we have demonstrated as a people that we have extremely low value for each other. The visitor shooting at the police, well, we value him just a bit more. This lack of value for each other is seen with regularity and also from our leaders top down. Frankly, it is concerning to the extreme and has to be addressed at some point. Okay, people are not listening carefully. Is this the same story that I heard yesterday on Guardian Radio? A young lady said that police told the guy to drop the cutlass, then fired a warning shot in the air, and the dude still charged them. We didn't hear anything about the warning shot. Did you hear about a warning shot? But
No.
Okay. But again, it's got a cutlass. I don't want to. Oh boy, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm saying, anything can be a weapon, right? So if I've got a bunch of shoes, steel toe boots or something, and I'm coming at you with it, you're gonna what? That he was coming at me, he's charging at me with a weapon, and I should be shot for that. I'm just saying, there's got to be a better way to deal with a situation when you're dealing with somebody who's not there, not necessarily a criminal, somebody who is not in their right mind. They might never be in their right mind, or at the moment they might not be. Be a better way. This wasn't a call about somebody who committed a crime. It was somebody who was in distress. Yes, the cutlass, that is terrible. That is scary. That is ridiculous, right? But does that have to end in that person's death? That's the question. If you've been tased, we wouldn't be talking about this today.
No.
He might be getting the help.
Hopefully we wouldn't be.
Hopefully. Yeah. All right, we're going to leave that there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, you don't want to miss this, folks. The Bahamas, Canada, Tulsa. What's a connection? What happened 100 years ago that changed the course of the Bahamas trajectory forever? We're going to get into that. You don't want to miss it. That's coming up. This is Morning Blend 9.
When I heard my bulldog bark, he was barking at the two men who were gambling in the dark.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is AP News. I'm Rita Foley. That fierce heat wave in the west is continuing, and it'll expand into the nation's midsection, says the National Weather Service. Danny Weber works at a water theme park in Dublin, California, about a half hour east of San Francisco. It's going to be 104 degrees there today.
With the hot temperatures, like our splash play area, that water is probably going to be about 90 degrees, so it's making sure patrons stay hydrated when they're here. Just because you're in a pool doesn't mean you can't overheat.
He talked to KGO-TV in San Francisco. The websites and apps of dozens of big companies went down this morning briefly in a wave of internet outages around the world. Financial institutions, airlines, and other companies. Airlines briefly affected. President Biden's back from Geneva and his meeting with Russians Vladimir Putin. But what did they accomplish? Our Sagar Magani's got that.
In Geneva, both leaders described constructive talks lasting about 3 hours.
There were no threats, just simple assertions.
Through an interpreter, Putin says he and the president generally spoke the same language.
I think there was no hostility, quite the contrary.
They've agreed to return their ambassadors to Washington and Moscow and work toward a new nuclear arms treaty. But there's sharp disagreement on cyber attacks. Putin denies Russia's involved, while U.S. intelligence indicates otherwise. The president says he made clear attacks on major American infrastructure are unacceptable.
Later today, President Biden will sign into law the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act. It'll make June 19th a federal holiday, commemorating the end of slavery in the U.S. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says his state will build more barriers along the border with Mexico. Texas now has a web page and a post office box number, so anybody can donate money for a wall. This is AP News. Has Congress given the president too much of its authority to declare war? The House will take a key vote today. Our Mike Gracia has this.
Momentum is growing in Washington to terminate the 2002 authorization of military force against Iraq, a move that supporters say is necessary to constrain presidential war powers. The White House and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer are endorsing the repeal legislation, with Schumer saying he intends to bring it to the Senate floor this year. The House is expected to pass repeal legislation Thursday. The White House stressed in a statement earlier this week, no ongoing military activities are reliant upon the 2002 authorization. Some members of Congress also say the 2001 resolution to fight terrorism, passed after the 9/11 attacks, should also be re-examined. Mike Gracia, Washington.
The Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P were all down yesterday. The Dow dropped 265 points. I'm Rita Foley.
Time for your first look at traffic for this morning. Brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, we've got Smile Butler Highway heavy traffic from well south of Fire Trail this morning in the northbound lanes heading towards Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. Traffic back well eastbound this morning. Glaston Road also looking busy northbound to JFK. And Blue Hill Road northbound north of Soldier Road, very heavy traffic in the northbound lanes heading towards Independence Drive is back to belong Independence Drive as well. Westbound to that roundabout. Carmichael Road eastbound, building traffic to Blue Hill Road and Soldier Road at the intersection with East Street. Really seeing some heavy traffic there in that vicinity, especially northbound, just north of Soldier Road, heading towards the East-West Highway Independence Drive roundabout. Those are your hot spots. We've got some building traffic elsewhere, like Prince Charles Drive along the major intersections and Marathon Road northbound. Soldier Road near Village Road, Bernard Road, Wolf Road, that intersection. And some building traffic along Carmichael Road westbound heading towards Coral Harbor Road. That's what we're looking at so far. We'll have another real-time report for you just after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. We've got rich tropical moisture that continues to stream over the islands, enhancing shower activity mainly in the northwest Bahamas. High pressure slowly shifting east of the islands. Beachgoers in southeast Bahamas should exercise caution due to rip currents at east and south coast beaches. And boaters in the northwest Bahamas should be alert for possible water spouts. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, we're looking at partly cloudy, warm, and humid conditions with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight. For the central southeastern islands, partly sunny and hot with a chance of passing isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and warm tonight with a chance of showers or thunderstorms. Small craft caution in effect for the southeast Bahamas. Temperature to 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure is expected to begin building across the area heading into the weekend with more sunny and hot conditions coming. So for Friday tomorrow, partly sunny, hot, and humid with a few isolated showers or thunderstorms, mainly in the extreme northwest Bahamas, becoming mainly fair and warm at night with a chance of brief passing showers. Saturday, partly sunny and hot again with a chance of brief passing isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and warm at night with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. In the tropics, we're still watching that broad low pressure area over the eastern portion of the Bay of Campeche. It is producing widespread cloudiness, disorganized showers, and a few thunderstorms. The low should begin to move northward by this afternoon, and a tropical or subtropical depression is likely to form by late tonight or on Friday when the low moves across the western Gulf of Mexico. The low has a high chance now of tropical cyclone formation through the next 48 hours. Could be a major rainmaker for the Gulf Coast states of the U.S. That's your morning blend. Weather check brought to you by Rev Cable Bahamas. You and us together.
Travel less, but vacation more by indulging yourself and your family with the ultimate staycation getaway at Atlantis. Sleep in, relax, play, go out. Say yes to a fantastic staycation in your very own paradise just over the bridge. For reservations, call 363-6483 or visit Atlantis Local on Facebook for details.
Digital banking, online, RBC. RBC banking, online, pay your bills anytime.
RBC Digital Banking is so easy. Granny and Granddad can do it. Sign up for online banking or download the RBC Caribbean app.
With RBC, it's safe and easy. Send your money hassle-free.
RBC.com/Caribbean/bank at home. RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best. Believe in best.
Stay a step ahead of technology with certainty and support from Custom Computers. Our know-how team is here to help you zero in on your next big tech purchase, finding solutions that take your productivity to the next level using only the best and most reliable brands. With 4 stores all across Nassau on East Bay, West Bay, Old Fort Bay, and Palmdale, there's no stopping you from stepping up your tech. Reach out to us at 396-1100. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
There's only one way to have a better morning.
How?
Start your mornings the best way with our 2 for $6 breakfast sandwiches at Wendy's. For a limited time, choose any 2 of your favorite breakfast sandwiches, including the fresh Strachan sack muffin, honey buttermilk chicken biscuit, double sausage muffin, or the sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. Wash it all down with our cold brew shake or coffee. Better mornings always start at Wendy's. Wendy's, different inside and out. Excludes airport locations.
Meet Jackie. Jackie's a hard worker with a steady income, but she has a personal loan and multiple credit cards to pay off. To current, Jackie opted for a loan from Fidelity Bank to consolidate her debt into one monthly payment and earn interest on a built-in savings account. Be like Jackie. Call 356-7764 to book a complimentary financial coaching session. Fidelity also offers virtual assistance. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Oh, yeah. All right. My beautiful islands. I tell you, if the good Lord never goes on holiday, tell me why he made the Bahamas. If the good Lord never used to come this way, tell me why he made these islands. All the sun, all the peace, all the skies, all the breeze, all the breeze, all the hills, all the sand, all the trees. Oh, tell me why. Tell me
This
why.
is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's Thursday, June 17th, 2021, and you're listening to the Guardian News Network Morning Report. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Ferguson. Thanks for tuning in. Topping the news, vendors denied access to Cabbage Beach are vowing to defend their livelihoods after a developer fenced off the area in preparation for construction. Kyle Joaquin reports.
This is our livelihood, and we refuse to let them move us from here. We are not moving. We gonna fight, and we gonna fight like we don't know how. And if Minister he want to war with the Bahamian people, he will get it, because we ain't moving.
It's a strong promise from this Cabbage Beach vendor who's been making her living on the beach for the past 15 years. Vendors have not been able to return to work for over a year due to the pandemic, and when they met this locked gate, they took matters in open.
They feed their family. They've been off the beach now a whole year and a year and a half, almost 2 years now. Everybody back to work. The vendors from Atlantis Beach already back to work. Junkanoo Beach, they're already back to work. What happened to the people on Cabbage Beach?
Tried to shut us off from working, but what happened is last year the pandemic hit, so they told us we could come back to work next month. Now they're trying to put everybody off the beach, and I don't think it's fair.
To make matters worse, vendors learned that their equipment like beach chairs, umbrellas, and souvenirs were moved from the beach across the street by whom they don't know.
Yeah, everything was back out to the road out there.
Where are they now?
Still out there to the road. Still there to the road.
And these are your equipment?
Yes,
Yeah,
they still there to the road.
Family, we'll be able to come back to work on the first of next month. Comes this morning now, all our chairs out to the road break up.
You left them here?
We left them here yesterday, chain up. They break up our stuff at being like waste dogs.
Who broke them?
We don't know where we take them off the beach.
But there was one person at the last Cabbage Beach demonstration, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, who back in 2016, before he became Prime Minister, actually stood with these same vendors when they were locked out.
So, Minnis, where you is now?
Yeah.
Where you is now, Dr. Minnis?
Yeah.
Where you is now for the Bahamian people?
The Minnis, you are now for them in trouble if y'all don't remedy this. It's time.
By the time those vendors made it back to the beach and went back to get their stuff, the area was blocked off by a police car.
What's going on, Marvin Dames? Did you give the Commissioner of Police the authority to block this? Huh? Why now?
They
ready to break my
This
chair.
your equipment as well?
Get my chair. Tell them pay for my chair.
Vendors wasted no time in moving their things back to the beach.
These are your equipment that you want to take back now to the beach? Yes, I got my stuff back. How many of these chairs do you have to move back there?
Well, I have 200 chairs. I only find 80 chairs or all my chairs.
These all coming, sir? It's nice stuff here. Yeah, I'm getting it back on the beach, sir.
Back in 2014, then State Minister for Investments Kayla Stroll disclosed that Access Industries' acquisition after the purchase of the one and only Ocean Club includes acre site between the Rio Hotel and Sunrise Beach Villas for future development and expansion possibilities. Lincoln Bain from the Coalition of Independents rallied the vendors as they sought to fix the issue. He said he couldn't sit by and watch.
Just because, I'm tired of the rights of Bahamians being trampled on. And I went to jail for the same thing 5 years ago. Of course, we won our case back then. And of course, it was established in the House of Assembly and in the courts that this is a public right-of-way. No one should ever block this. And that's why I fought for this, because I'm tired of Bahamians' rights being trampled on, especially by foreigners.
Well, Access Industries responded in a statement saying work on the privately owned vacant tract has begun for a condominium hotel development, and that due to safety concerns during the work phase, the path that runs over the private tract to the beach will be closed. It continued saying unauthorized items that had been left on the private property have been carefully collected and that security would have them available for pickup on Friday. For the Guardian News Network, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguila called the blocking of Cabbage Beach objectionable as he claimed he was blindsided by the developer's move. Jasmine Brown has that.
The tourism minister spoke exclusively to our news team moments after he got off the phone with the developer, and he called the move today simply unacceptable.
Dionisio de Aguila was completely blindsided by this recent development at Cabbage Beach. I had no idea that this was going to happen until my phone started to blow up this morning about a fence being erected and access to Cabbage Beach being denied.
De Aguilar says it was only after he got a tidal wave of calls that he was able to reach out to the developer Access Investments, whose contact information was on a sign posted on the fenced-off property.
The persons that own or who would have purchased the Ocean Club property from Atlantis, so Atlantis has nothing to do with this, they are claiming that this is private property. And they are intending to develop this property into a condo hotel.
De Aguilar said of their plans to build that $250 million condo hotel, as his ministry was not informed prior to the drama that unfolded at Cabbage Beach. The tourism minister says he explained to the developers that Bahamian vendors have worked at the property for years and that blocking off access was unacceptable and a conundrum.
I understand what these vendors are complaining about. They've been blindsided. They haven't been consulted. No one said anything to them. And I agree with their level of vexation right now.
De Aguilar says as far as he is concerned, the developers need to take a step back and reassess their plans to see how they can best accommodate vendors on Cabbage Beach. He insists he expressed his views to those developers on the phone call this afternoon.
So I told them to go back. You have 24 hours to think about it. I don't think your first run at this was acceptable to anybody, certainly not to me and certainly not to the vendors, and that you need to think about how you intend to move forward with this to make it more palatable to all of the parties involved.
Reporting for Guardian News Network, I'm Jasmine Brown.
In other news, a 38-year-old female resident of Bimini has become the latest person in this country to die from COVID-19. Health officials confirmed the woman died Monday. Total COVID deaths now number 240. Well, the cadre of nurses in this country is about to grow by more than 100. Minister for Health Renward Wells told Parliament dozens of Bahamian nurses are set to graduate into the healthcare system soon, helping to ease the long-standing nursing shortage.
Currently, the University of the Bahamas recently graduated some 40 nurses with a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. These same nurses are scheduled to sit the nursing council examination in November of this year. Another 30 nurses graduating by the end of this summer session, Mr. Speaker. That's 70. Behind this group next year is approximately another 100 nurses. So, Mr. Speaker, by the end of this upcoming fiscal year, there will be an additional 170 Bahamian nurses for our healthcare system.
Wells said government is also creating a program in tertiary institutions that will produce the full suite of allied health professionals for subsequent years to come who are needed to fully staff the healthcare system. During his contribution to debate, Former Minister for Health Dr. Dwight Sands had expressed concern that the country has lost 50% of critical care nurses, some going abroad or retiring, and that the ICU at Princess Margaret Hospital cannot open to full capacity because there are not enough nurses. He called the nursing shortage one of the greatest threats to national security. The mother of a man killed by police says he was behaving erratically in the days before his death, but that she was trying to get him help. Jared Higgs reports.
The man who was shot dead wielding a cutlass is 29-year-old Ernst Steve Charles, according to his mother.
When he hear ambulance come, so he go get the cutlass. When I see that, I open the door, the yellow police was with her, and me and them went together. And the next one was with her and direct the ambulance. When he see that...
58-year-old Ivana Joseph says her son was behaving erratically in the days and hours leading up to his death, clearing out all the cupboards and the fridge in their home. He was also escorted home by police at 11 on Monday night after taking a post-curfew walk. His grieving mother said she tried to get him help.
See, act bad and deny Monday night, so I say, someone tell me, so he maybe have stress, call pastor.
When the pastor couldn't come, Joseph says she called two family friends to speak to her son, but he tried to attack one of them. That's when she called police and an ambulance in the hopes of having him admitted to Sandilands.
Call ambulance. And when he hear ambulance come, so he get up and go get the cutlass.
At that point, Charles's mother and an officer at the home ran down the stairs of the apartment. An officer below fired up at the 29-year-old, hitting him in the chest. Minister of National Security Marvin Dame says he was briefed on the matter.
So that they followed the law. The coroner was called in immediately after the shootings.
But Charles's mother thinks the police used too much force.
No, I called the police to come help me, but I ain't call them to come shoot them to kill. So I know. So when you see cutlass, you scared. So I know. So you know, he head look like he turned. So if you want to help me, you could shoot him on the hand and shoot him on the foot and try to put him down. So you shoot him on the chest.
The 29-year-old leaves behind a 6-year-old daughter. Reporting for the Guardian News Network,
There's more news after the break.
Edinburgh Napier University is holding an information session at the Ballroom Courtyard Marriott on June 23rd from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Attendees can learn about the university's NACOB-recognized 100% online bachelor and master's degrees, and also the Pathway program offered by the Bahamas Baptist University College, leading to ENU's final year bachelor degree in business management. Visit seidegrees.com to make a reservation for the session. That's seidegrees.com to fast-track your career.
When does a simple meal become exceptional? You guessed it, when it's made the fresh market way. We're talking exquisite cuts of fresh meat, succulent fresh seafood options, the best in fresh produce, and who can forget our exotic spices and herbs? Come on, get ready to shake up your taste buds and let our aisles inspire your inner food genius. Homemade salted caramel ice cream, egg noodle stir fry, time to walk and roll. Slow smoked beef ribs, oh baby! Fresh and craft delicious with Fresh Market.
Apex Award Signs and Engraving is excited about this summer's graduation. Celebrate your graduates with high-quality custom graduation signs available at great low prices. Need custom printing on apparel, promotional merchandise printing, or photo imaging services? No problem. You can get personalized diploma covers, plaques, plates, albums, clocks, pens, pencils, and so much more. Say congratulations to the class of 2021 with signs, hanging banners, and expressing appreciation on social media. Celebrate 2021 graduates with your own custom yard sign, banner, or poster from Apex Award Signs and Engraving, number 128 Mount Royal Avenue, or on Wilton Street, a block north of McCarthy's Pharmacy. Open weekdays 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays 9 to 1.
Jada, jump in the car. Hey girl, your new ride looking good. Y'all, it was rough. No one wanted to insure me as a new driver, and cause I young. Thank goodness Jason told me about Shield Insurance right there across from the police college on Thompson Boulevard. Shield hooked me up with one solid policy at a decent price, minus the shade. Them other companies was joking, but I glad you get straight. Call Shield Insurance in Nassau or Freeport. They've got you covered.
Shield Insurance Agents and Brokers.
At Master Technicians, we have what your family traditions need, starting with industry-best refrigerators, ranges, and ovens.
We also carry Whirlpool washer and dryers, dishwashers and freezers, leading KitchenAid countertop appliances, blenders, microwaves, juicers, kettles, and KitchenAid stand mixers. We even do free delivery in New Providence or to the boat of your choice. Whether you're doing the laundry, creating new memories in the kitchen, or spending family time in front of the television, Master Technicians Limited, keeping family traditions alive for more than 50 years.
Better say, Lambkin, time for my annual summer sale. I don't even know where to start. We got so much things we putting on sale. If I was to try and name all of them, this would be a 5-minute infomercial. Anyhow, most everything will be on sale. And made patio stones and planters. These are simply, I even ain't know how to say this, but they unique. Ain't nothing like them on the island. They one of a kind. Plus, you know I can have all of them floor covering on sale. So check them out if you want some great prices on tile. Sale running to July 9th.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Welcome back. 2 men are facing drug-related charges in connection to that $1.1 million cocaine seizure and exhumer earlier this week. Georgia Bain has the details.
59-year-old pilot Anton Johnson of Georgetown Exuma and Twin Gardens were arraigned in the magistrate's court on several drug-related charges. Both men denied charges of drug possession with intent to supply, importation of dangerous drugs, and conspiracy to commit the offenses. They were arrested in Daniel Key Exuma on June 13th after their plane landed. Shortly before the landing, law enforcement officers on a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter allegedly saw their plane, a twin-engine Piper aircraft, flying at low altitude before 2 crocus sacks of cocaine were dropped from the aircraft. Police later seized 58 black-taped packages of cocaine with an estimated street value of $1,161,000. Both men were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections pending a bail hearing set for Thursday afternoon. Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
That's going to do it for local news. Stay with us. AP News is next.
Serenity Gated Community. Come and see what all the buzz is about surrounding our pre-construction home packages. Already, we have successfully made it possible for multiple families to realize their dream of home ownership. It's all about value building, folks. Home investment is by far the greatest investment one will ever make, so invest with confidence. Give Desiree Mingo a call at 376-0318 today.
Your big day coming, what you want?
I know, but you all seem too far behind, eh? Anyhow, I want you to give me washing machine.
Washing machine? What you want washing machine for?
Well, since Junior working on the island now and 3 people got to use your car, I figure we could wash right here.
You got line, eh?
Not yet.
What we can talk about?
That's true.
If you wash here, how we can catch capsaicin?
That's true, eh?
And if you ain't got no line, how we post to drying if you wash here?
That's true.
Okay, so what you want Junior get you again?
$1,600 worth of tokens. That's how much the washing machine costs.
Now you're talking, and I'll reserve the car for every Saturday.
Gone for that. So what you want for your big day?
Half of them token.
My lord.
Summer wash. We washes you, cleans you, presses you 24/7.
Introducing the new Slices and Sticks from Little Caesars, an unexpected combination. 4 slices of pepperoni pizza, 8 Italian cheese sticks, and 1 crazy sauce, only for $9. Didn't expect that one, right? Grab the new Slices and Sticks at Little Caesars Oaksfield, Carmichael Road, or East Street South in the Pineapple Plaza. That's 4 slices of pepperoni pizza, 8 Italian cheese sticks, and 1 crazy sauce. All Little Caesars.
Pizza.
Days come and days go, but each day has specials at super value and quality supermarkets like Crisco vegetable oil, 48-ounce bottle, $3.49. Hunt's ketchup, 32-ounce jar, $2.39. Best Yet macaroni and cheese, 7 1/4-ounce box, 2 for $1.29. Idaho potatoes, 5-pound bag, $3.39. Danish spare ribs, $2.69 per pound. If it's value you want, you really want super value and quality supermarkets.
Everything is changing, and your favorite hardware and home improvement store is getting with the program. We Buy You Sell is rolling out its new online shopping feature. If you go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, it's a quick and easy 3-step process. Step 1, browse the gallery and select your item. Step 2, add to cart. And step 3, check out. Go to our website, wbusbahamas.com, to shop with us today.
Brother Major jump off the boat onto Porter Ski and make a beeline to Sun Isles. Tell Miss Wallace them, I need a battery for this, a battery for that, and a battery for this. You find you joking? I'll put a battery in you too. Major say, you mean you can still energize this old bunny? She say, man, we'll give you one good overall service, lubricate your 21 joules, then jumpstart your lithium battery, man, you'll be good as new. Major say, well, I didn't know you could do all of that. She say, well, of course I can, because that's the kind of me I am.
Sun Isles Watch and Clock, number 112 Montrose Avenue. Watch and clock sales and repairs for over 40 years.
When I had got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
Cable Bahamas Business Solutions has the right tools to help you grow your small or medium business. Get business in a box. With either our expert or executive package, you'll get high-speed internet, landline, and mobile phone service from as low as $189 per month. Plus, your business gets noticed on Rev TV. Sign up today for Business in a Box from Cable Bahamas Business Solutions. Call now, 601-8911 in Nassau or 602-8811 in the Family Islands. This traffic report is brought to you.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and on BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. And now at 8:21, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. We've got rich tropical moisture continuing to stream over the islands, enhancing shower activity, mainly in the northwest Bahamas. High pressure slowly shifting east of the islands. Beachgoers in the southeast Bahamas should exercise caution due to rip currents along east and south coast beaches. Boaters in the northwest Bahamas should be alert for possible water spouts. For today, your forecast calls for partly cloudy, warm, and humid conditions in the northwest Bahamas, with isolated showers and thunderstorms through tonight. For the central and southeast Bahamas, we're looking at partly cloudy, hot, and with a chance of passing isolated showers or thunderstorms with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. So aircraft caution in effect for the southeast Bahamas. Temperature-wise today, we are at about 83 with showers in parts of New Providence at this hour. 79 in Freeport. Look for highs getting up to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. In your extended outlook, high pressure is expected to begin building across the area heading into the weekend, with more sunny and hot conditions returning. So for Friday, look for partly sunny, hot, and humid conditions with isolated showers or thunderstorms, mainly across the extreme northwest Bahamas, becoming fair and warm at night with a chance of brief passing showers. Saturday, sunny and hot with a chance of brief passing isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming fair and warm at night. The tropics are watching that area over the Bay of Campeche, that broad, low-pressure area. It's producing widespread cloudiness, disorganized showers, and a few thunderstorms. The low should begin to move northward by this afternoon, and a tropical or subtropical depression is likely to form by late tonight. Or by Friday, when the low becomes when it starts to move across the western Gulf of Mexico. It has a high chance of tropical cyclone formation through the next 48 hours. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. And another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Busy out there for you folks. Got heavy traffic on Smile Butler Highway, well south of Fire Trail this morning, the northbound lanes, all the way up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway. Eastbound on Fire Trail, also busy as you head to that roundabout with Mile Butler Highway. Glaston Road, also busy for you, northbound, heading to JFK Drive and Blue Hill Road. It's going to be busy from south of St. Vincent Road, and especially north of Soldier Road in those northbound lanes heading towards Independence Drive. Independence Drive might be the busiest of them all, with westbound traffic not moving much as you approach that roundabout with Blue Hill Road. Eastbound is also seeing some building traffic the closer you get to East Street, which is having challenges of its own from Robinson Road straight down into Pinewood. You're going to be seeing that mainly in the northbound lanes. And Soldier Road at that junction with East Street, eastbound mainly, and again, as you get closer to Windsor Place, going to be challenging for you. Eastern Road's busy westbound this morning from San Souci up to Johnson Road, and pockets along Prince Charles Drive, the major intersections. And then building traffic on Marathon Road northbound, and at that intersection with Wolf Road, Bernard Road, Soldier Road, and Village. Carmichael westbound to Coral Harbor Road, also seeing some building traffic there. So there's a lot that you're dealing with this morning, and as we said, the streets are wet, showers in some parts of New Providence, so keep that in mind. That's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
We are back here this morning with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Laverne Gardner. And hey, if things had gone a little differently 100 years ago, that might have been our national anthem. Dr. Chris Curry with the University of Bahamas is going to talk about that this morning. And Dr. Curry, always a pleasure. Great having you with us this morning.
Yes, Dwight, it's great to be on Morning Blend. Thank you for the invitation.
All right, so I think if you're like me, I think a few people know about this, that Turks and Caicos and Canada have been going back and forth over the last 100 years about whether Turks and Caicos should become a province of Canada. And I'd heard about that quite a few times, been to the Turks and Caicos, and they talked about that. But I did not know that before that discussion with Turks and Caicos, they were seriously considering annexing the Bahamas. And it's stumbled on this in response with all the talk about what happened in Tulsa 100 years ago, and stumbled across an article that you wouldn't think that these were somewhat related, but this is fascinating, and I started having a conversation with you about it. Tell us about this. Take us back. What was going on? What was happening with Canada, and how did the Bahamas factor into this, and what went wrong or right? Because some people might say that it probably ended up better for it. We ended up better for it. I don't know. But let's go back 100 years ago. What was going on?
Well, I'd like to take it back just a little bit further
Even further. Okay.
we have to go back to the 19th century. In 1867, Canada is confederated essentially as an independent country under John A. Macdonald. He becomes the first prime minister of Canada. And the late 19th century is the period of rapid imperial expansion. Some people see it as a second wave of imperialism around the world. You would also remember that in 1867, Germany is also reunificated under Otto von Bismarck. You also have strengthening of other imperial powers. Certainly, the United States is coming into its own. Australia is also becoming somewhat of a world power. Japan, certainly. This leading into the beginning of the 20th century, where you have a land grab in Africa, where these imperial powers are now competing for territory. This comes out of the Berlin Conference of 1884, which basically legitimizes European efforts to colonize the continent of Africa. I say all of that because you have to understand the context in that Canada by the 20th century, as a new independent country with vast territory and resources, is looking to enter the game of imperialism. How much in Africa, they are definitely interested in the tropics in the Caribbean. I will add one last context to appreciate why Canada might have been interested in the Bahamas in 1911. Remember that at the end of the 19th century, the United States, becoming an imperial power, is starting to take over territories in the tropics as well. From 1898 to about 1903, there's the Spanish-American-Cuban War of Independence. And while after that war, the United States takes over generally administrative control over the Philippines, and through the Platt Amendment in 1903, has responsibilities in Cuba if they deem any instability to take place on that island. They determined through the Platt Amendment the right to intervene in Cuban affairs. And of course, there's Puerto Rico that is essentially annexed to the United States. So what we're seeing is Canada is watching the United States. Canada is watching other powers taking over territories in the tropics and in Africa. And so it looks like Canada now, as a newly formed nation from 1867, is interested in getting into the game of imperialism and particularly annexing territories from the Caribbean. And that sort of sets the backdrop, I think, to why it was interested in the Bahamas in 1911.
Right. So this could have been the Canadian Hawaii, or as you say, Puerto Rico,
Yes.
or yeah. All right. So it wasn't just a couple people here and there talking. This got serious with major discussions.
Yeah, you had Wilfrid Laurier, who was the Prime Minister of Canada at the time, but you had a special interest group, the Canadian West Indies Union. They even had their own magazines. This was a huge public campaign going on in Canada that stretched from Nova Scotia to British Columbia, really campaigning to have a tropical paradise, a tropical territory annexed to Canada.
And they took it to the Bahamian people as well, based on some information that you came across.
Yeah, I think it was February 26, 1911. They actually debated this in our House of Assembly. And believe it or not, you had, I think the total votes in favor was 26-11.
Wow.
And so even in the Bahamian legislation, our House of Assembly, there was support for this. Now, what's interesting is you had opposition to it as well. Persons who were in opposition were both white and black parliamentarians. But the opposition was more because they were concerned that not enough details had been given in the report. You had
Sounds familiar.
a group of individuals from Canada who had traveled to traversed the archipelago and made their findings known. And they just felt like there was not enough preparedness for it. The objections also were centered around the issue of race. And that ultimately became a turning point. Ultimately, in both Canada and in the UK, the Colonial Office had objections to Canada annexing the Bahamas around color.
Okay, I mean, that's a big thing. We're going to get to that in a bit. Let's go back a little bit. What would have been some of the benefits, other than Canada exerting its power on the world stage? Economically, would that have been beneficial to Canada and to the Bahamas?
Right. So we have to bring in the idea of free trade and reciprocity, because remember, at the end of the 19th century, a lot of industries, I'm talking about the agricultural sector in the Bahamas, had suffered because of foreign competition and particularly tariffs being imposed on our pineapple industry and also tariffs and duties, taxes industry. And if you've studied Bahamian history at the BJC or BGCSE level, we talk about this period as the boom and bust period, or the depression years. And ultimately what we saw was a pattern in every single agricultural sector that was tried. There was ultimately failure as a result of tariffs, taxes, and foreign competition. So if you think about sisal, think about pineapples, think about citrus, thinking about sponging, all of these industries suffered because of these taxes and foreign competition. So what the Bahamian investors and the merchant class were thinking, if we were annexed to Canada under this principle of reciprocity, which they were toting, we would then have free access to US markets. This was what was being negotiated, as well as, of course, Canadian markets, without the encumbrance of a tax, a duty or a tariff as such. So that was the benefit that I guess the Nassau merchant class saw. And of course, the Canadian benefit, they saw, of course, access to commodities from the tropics.
All right. So, and you sent me this piece of information. This is a long document, but they had some town meetings as well, town hall meetings, and the Nassau Guardian at the time. This was so interesting, citing that this probably was the largest town hall meeting of its kind ever. So there was real interest in this. People were very
that
excited.
town hall meeting was at the Kirk, St. Andrew's Kirk. So it's fascinating that you can read about this in 1911 and you can imagine what it looked like, because that building still stands today.
Yeah.
And yes, the Guardian reported, this would have been Mary Mosley when the Guardian was owned by the Mosley family, who was reporting about this massive town hall meeting. You had a lot of interests amongst Bahamians for this relationship. I noticed from that article that unemployment in 1911, the Bahamas, was 55%. So,
Wow.
you can just imagine, this is pre-World War I, that we were really in a depressed economic state. So there would have been a lot of interest in this relationship as a way of resolving the economic issues in the Bahamas.
And what would it have been? Would we have been a territory, or were we going to be a province? Is that clear at all?
It sounded like they were trying to maintain the crown colony relationship that we already had with Great Britain. And understand that with the crown colony system, you would have still had a governor. You would have had an executive council would have been appointed by the governor. You would have had the legislature that would have been elected. Okay, and you would have had limited franchise, which is a key point that you want to underscore, meaning that the franchise would have been continued based on property qualifications, not on universal suffrage. And the reason why they wanted to maintain, they want a delicate balance as to who could actually vote and who would actually have rights as citizens in the Bahamas. And the British, of course, which was ironic in this piece, boasted about how they best understood how to maintain the race issues in the Bahamas through this gradated system of rights and responsibilities given to the few and the denial of rights and responsibilities to the many. So that's what Crown Colony probably would have looked like had Canada annexed the Bahamas. It would not have been a major social upheaval. It would not have been change in terms of of rights and citizenship. The difference would have been economic in terms of free trade and reciprocity.
All right, so let's get into that race issue, which ultimately derailed his plan. What happened exactly?
Well, the problem was, and this is again the paradox and the profound irony, is that Great Britain boasted that they alone were the best to be able to handle race issues in the Bahamas. And almost in a paternalistic language, they suggested that they were the only ones who had the ability to cultivate civilization in the Bahamas for the black races. And they were wary or concerned, ironically, about Canada's ability to do so, because Canada apparently had a bad track record dealing with blacks and minority groups. And that is an interesting card. They were playing the race card as if they were somehow the progressive empire as it relates to race. And we know that's not true at all for the British. And yet they are using the race card rhetorically in this way to deny Canada's interest in annexing the Bahamas.
And also ironic knowing where Canada is today as being so welcoming to people from so many different backgrounds.
Canada is extremely liberal in its day. But we also know, and this, well, I shouldn't say we know, the underbelly of Canada's history is that they generally present themselves in this sort of grand or master narrative as being a country that has always been progressive as it relates to race, and that is absolutely not true. We're finding out increasingly through the scholarship of historians like James St. George Walker, who wrote probably the seminal book on the Black Loyalist experience in Nova Scotia, as well as Robin Wink's Blacks in Canada, who've described the discriminatory practices that the Canadian government and Canadians in general held towards blacks entering Canada, whether it was at the end of the American Revolution or during the War of 1812 or during the episode that Oren Bailey actually mentioned, where blacks from Oklahoma tried to migrate into Manitoba and were turned away, essentially, and were really discriminated against. So Canada, despite what they may present as an official narrative for their country as being a progressive liberal country, has in fact a very dark, shady history as it relates to race relations, both with blacks as well as with their indigenous populations. We're now discovering the treatment of indigenous persons at these reservation schools. And the story of indigenous Canadians is really one of horror.
My goodness. So have you been able to verify this in this article that we saw about the governor of the Bahamas at the time traveling to Toronto and what he said in the speech that he gave to Canadians about why they shouldn't have fears about the Negroes in the Bahamas?
Yeah, one of the things, Earl Wilson, his cousin was actually at one point the Governor General of Canada. So he had like a connection with Canada, and he really trumpeted this idea. And basically, when he goes to Toronto, he's assuaging Canadian fears of a black population, being brought into the orbit of Canada and Canadian governance. And so he's basically trying to say, you have no worries, you have no concerns. But, the tipping point really is that Canadians were really fearful of entering into relationship in a territory that had a majority black population. And so that, race really became the big issue. And then, of course, the colonial government was opposed to Canada's annexing the Bahamas. Interestingly, the Bahamas was really a marginalized territory in the British imperial scheme of things. It was not valuable because it did not have an export economy to talk about, and it was costly to maintain. Yet the British did not want to relinquish in 1911 its control over the Bahamas to Canada, and it used the race card as its reason.
So you mentioned Tulsa, and the fears were what? That the Bahamas could become a Tulsa, or that Bahamians would decide that they wanted to move to Canada, or is it a combination?
I think it's a combination. So we need to unpack what happened in Tulsa. The Tulsa riot of 1921 is a race riot based on this idea you have this Black Wall Street, the idea that you have Black entrepreneurs who are controlling their own affairs, are able to economically empower themselves. The money and the resources remain within the Black community. I mean, everything that Marcus Garvey spoke about and championed as part of his Black ideology was reflected in Tulsa, and that became a dramatic threat to white Tulsans, right, and Oklahomians in general. People felt that this was just absolutely against the grain of white America, and so Tulsa became a sticking point and a line of demarcation really between white and blacks in America. And so they completely destroyed that community on the outskirts of Tulsa, burnt to ground. And I believe they're now finding the number of people that died in that riot is upwards of 200 persons of color. And so that event was important because you then have persons looking at that and saying, is this what we want? If we allow blacks into Canada, is this what we want, to have communities of color working in such a respect and threatening our own businesses? And I'll tell you, there's a parallel to the Bahamas, because in the 1920s, we also had immigrants coming from the West Indies into the Bahamas. Remember, this is the age of Prohibition. And yet you had the House of Assembly by 1928, 1929, arguing that the Bahamas is for Bahamians. And they then passed strict immigration laws to prevent West Indians to come into the Bahamas. That same xenophobia you see echoed in Canada with the Oklahomians trying to go into Manitoba. And ultimately, the whole question of annexing the Bahamas rested on this idea of really the fear of immigrants, the fear of Bahamians coming into Canada and swelling the work environment and taking jobs away from Canadians, white Canadians, and putting pressure on their economy at that time. And so it's a similar argument that you're seeing in Canada, that you're seeing also in the Bahamas.
Wow.
Dr. Curry, I find it interesting. I'm reading again this speech that Gray Wilson went into Canada to reassure them that they did not have to be concerned about it if Canada decided to annex the Bahamas. They didn't have to be concerned about what happened in Tulsa happening here. And if I can just quote this, I'm reading this. He's before them and he's telling them that in the Bahamas, we have no such position. I say that a white woman in the Bahamas, in the most isolated position, is as secure today as if she were in the room now. I defy anyone to say that about the southern states of America. Now, gentlemen, why is that? It is not because we have treated the black man as the equal of the white. No, he admits himself, the most intelligent of them with whom I have spoken, he admits himself that he is the white man's inferior. He admits that he is of a child race, undeveloped. But it is because, being a child race, we have extended to him, as the races of the empire, the universal, unswerving British justice.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is so offensive on so many
Oh
levels.
my God, I cannot tell you.
Yeah, what that reeks of to me is what we call British paternalism. This idea that black people were basically children, right? That they needed to be raised and reared in the light of British civilization to bring them out of the darkness and barbarism of African practices and values. And they thought that, again, this is extremely racist. They thought that black people were basically like children that had to be reared up and raised in the right environment, which for them, of course, was the imperial system that the British had established. But of course, in this context, Gray is now arguing for an imperialist system based in Canada, but with the same patriarchal, paternalistic, and racist ideas of raising up people who are essentially children. And again, you can understand how offensive that is, or as it should be for us hearing that today.
Yeah. All right. So when was the turning point when this fell apart, when everyone said, okay, well, obviously we can't do this? What happened, and which directions did both territories, both countries go after that?
Well, as far as I understand, a lot of it was political because Wilfrid Laurier loses. They have an election in 1912. And so the political climate changes in Canada. And then on top of that, you have Great Britain opposing the annexation. Remember, the Bahamas is still a colony of Great Britain, so in a way they have the final say. And Canada is only just recently, and of course, not revolution, they had only recently gained their independence from Great Britain in 1867, and they were still attached to Great Britain. So there are a lot of people who had issues with the idea of the annexation. And I think the turning point was both from Great Britain, the colonial office's objections, as well as the political change in Canada. And then, of course, don't forget, then you had World War I, and that changed the dynamics altogether of this whole conversation about territories and colonies.
Yeah. So the Bahamas, when it status quo went and continued to be under the UK.
Absolutely. And of course, we didn't see any progressive changes as it relates to our status as a crown colony until 1964, when we were granted internal self-government, which meant for the first time then you had a cabinet, ministerial cabinet. You had a term premier given to the executive leader of the governing party. That would have been at the time Sir Roland Simonet. And that's the first change that we see moving towards our severing of ties from Great Britain, which occurs finally by 1973. But it was really 64 that set in motion the movement towards independence and decolonization.
Yeah.
So this period in 1911, pre-World War I, turn of the 20th century, is interesting. I want to add, if I could, to the other part of this that maybe doesn't get discussed enough. Canada opted for economic influence over the Bahamas rather than actually territorial control. And the tipping point, Dwight, Laverne, may have been economic realities, realizing that the costly benefits of imperialism could be mitigated by economic influence. And so the Royal Bank of the Bahamas in 1908. Later on, of course, you can have Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, which we now call CIBC, and the Bank of Nova Scotia. So Canada has had and has for a long time economic influence in the Bahamas. I would also add insurance companies. You would have noted from the reading, Sun Insurance, Assurance was also active in the Bahamas. And later on, there would be companies like Dominion Life, which later became Manulife, operating in the Bahamas from the 1960s and 70s. In fact, my dad worked at Manulife, formerly Dominion Life. That was his first major place of employment. So Canada has always had a stake in our economic activities. And I guess they opted for dollar diplomacy over actual imperialism.
Right. Wow. And that explains a lot of what we see every day here. All right, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to ask you, and ask everybody, and want our listeners to chime in as well. Do you think we are better for this, for that idea falling apart, or would that have changed this country for the better? We're going to get your views on all of that after the break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Canada, our home and native land.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAO, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAO, growing wealth for future generations.
Elevating the Bahamas with our super fast fiber internet experience. More people in more places can enjoy the best home connection starting with 100 megabit speeds. With over $6.5 million invested, our network grows stronger each day, delivering the best home internet for all your needs. Call us at 242-225-5282. Visit btcbahamas.com or any retail store to upgrade to the super fast fiber internet experience on the Bahamas' best fiber network.
Travel less, but vacation more by indulging yourself and your family with the ultimate staycation getaway at Atlantis. Sleep in, relax, play, go out. Say yes to a fantastic staycation in your very own paradise just over the bridge. For reservations, call 363-6483 or visit Atlantis Local on Facebook for details.
RBC has been growing with the Bahamas for over 110 years with new ways to bank better. We are committed to deepening our relationship with existing clients and forging new ones in the future with new products and services and investment in the community, youth, and education initiatives. We are here to help you grow.
We're here to help you flourish. We're RBC.
RBC Royal Bank. Banking reimagined.
Roaming just got easier. Say hello to more with our new Liberty Prime plan. With more minutes, more texts, and more data to do the things you love right here at home and even when you travel. With the all-new Liberty Prime, Liberty Premium, and Liberty Elite, you've got one less worry. Roam again. Alive. Believe in best.
Believe in best.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
I work hard, and I have a family that needs me, so I have no time for pain. That's why I take Cetamol Extra Strength. It's fast, it's effective, it's relief. Cetamol Extra Strength. Get back to the better you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Oh, yeah. All right. My beautiful idols. I tell you, if the good Lord never goes on holiday, tell me why he made the Bahamas.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. We are talking with Dr. Chris Curry, talking about what could have been the Bahamas and Canada. If Canada had indeed annexed the Bahamas as it had hoped to just a little over 100 years ago. So when I ask, what do you think? Are we better off for this falling apart? The journey that we took? Was that?
It's a great counterfactual or hypothetical question, Dwight.
Mhm.
One of the things we have to look at is the parallels of Canada in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s versus what's happening in the Bahamas under our British colonialism. We know that in Canada, after World War II, we have an era of progressive changes taking place under Lester B. Pearson and then Pierre Trudeau, the father of the current Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Trudeau actually introduced a policy that's widely accepted as one of the most progressive articulations of policy, which is multiculturalism. And the idea that Canada embraced what used to be considered the two solitudes of a Francophone and Englishphone country into embracing a more diverse milieu of people who were migrating into Canada and respecting their rights and their interests. And that was codified in the 60s under Pierre Trudeau. So that would have been a good thing had the Bahamas been annexed to Canada. We could have imagined that, for example, the franchise and citizenship rights would have been afforded much earlier. Remember, in the Bahamas, as a British colony, the British were reluctant and reticent really in progressive change. They worked really in cahoots with the local oligarchy, the Bay Street Boys, in putting brakes on any real change, reform or otherwise. And so we didn't have universal suffrage for males until 1959, and women didn't get granted suffrage until 61, exercising it for the first time in the 1962 election. So one could make one could make an argument that had we become a Canadian province or territory, overseas territory, those kind of changes might have occurred a little earlier. Okay, but the other thing to consider is would we even have been considered a province? Because they were adopting the colonial system of crown government, is to the United States today, where they have a governor and they have some degree of representation in Washington, but they don't vote in presidential elections. And in many ways, they have taxation without representation. And hopefully that would not have been the case had we been annexed to Canada. But on the other hand, that might have been something that we would have had to carry as a major concern, is whether or not we would even be considered a province. We might have been a colony of Canada with crown government formula that would have continued the disenfranchisement of most of the Bahamians into the latter part of the 20th century.
Right. Are there any such examples for Canada now, or does that happen at all? Did that happen at all?
Yeah, as far as I know, there are territories that were brought into the Canadian orbit, the Northwest Territories, and then you had Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia. Sorry, not Nova Scotia. Newfoundland was the last territory. I think it was 1947 that was included as a province. But notice that all of those territories that I mentioned are all part of the continental land of Canada.
Yeah.
Canada, as far as I know, doesn't have any tropical territories. I know you mentioned earlier that there's negotiations with Turks and Caicos, but currently Canada doesn't own anything outside of their landmass in the north.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I have a sneaky suspicion we would have been, even though we complain about the prices now, it would have been even more challenging. Priced even more out, especially with real estate, had this gone a different way. Although some will say it's harder to imagine the prices being higher than they are currently.
Well, I'll tell you something, and I lived in Canada for 10 years, from 1996 to 2006, and Canada is one of the most taxed countries in the world. They say in Canada you work a third of the year for the government, and then the other 2/3 for yourself.
Wow.
They have provincial sales tax. They have federal sales tax. Their taxes, just, we complain about VAT. Their taxes are up to 15%. Consumer taxes, sales tax.
Yeah. So that would have been, maybe things might not have changed that much. I don't know. But this is a fascinating conversation. A lot of people are saying they're hearing about this for the first time. Where can people get more information other than just Googling it? Is it, we don't have, this isn't taught in schools.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there is some information out there, and I had shared with you a PhD dissertation written out of Duke University. It's a fascinating document. If you like to read, it's 341 pages long, and the author is Paula Hastings. And I would start to read around page 136 through to about 180. And that is the section that is really dealing with this topic that we've been discussing.
Okay. Dr. Chris Curry, always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much. Giving a little break from all the debate stuff. So yeah, I'm sure that was fun. But thank you. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Take care.
All right. And Laverne, we're going to be back after the news because we're going to be talking about Freeport and talking with the chair of the Reef Committee about their plan, the proposals, the document they put forward to the government about what needs to be done to get Freeport back on track. So that's another great conversation coming up in Morning Blend Business just after the news. Stay with us.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is the Guardian News Network update on the hour. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Ferguson. Government has asked developers with Access Industries to reassess their decision to block vendors from Cabbage Beach while they construct their multi-million-dollar condo hotel. That from Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar, who said he only learned of the problem yesterday when angry vendors demanded to know why the beach had been blocked off and their property discarded. They did eventually break open that locked gate. De Aguilar told our news he explained to the property's owner that blocking access was unacceptable.
So I told him to go back. You have 24 hours to think about it. I don't think your first run at this was acceptable to anybody, certainly not to me and certainly not to the vendors. and that you need to think about how you intend to move forward with this to make it more palatable to all of the parties involved.
Access Industries said the area was blocked off due to safety concerns at Beach Club Drive or consider using other public beaches on Nassau. In other news, a 38-year-old female resident of Bimini has become the latest person in this country to die from COVID-19. Health officials confirmed that she died Monday. Total COVID deaths now number 240. And the healthcare system is about to benefit from an additional 170 Bahamian nurses who are set to complete training soon. Health Minister Renward Wells told Parliament 40 nurses recently graduated the University of the Bahamas with a bachelor's degree, with another 30 nurses graduating this summer, and another 100 nurses are expected to graduate next year. He said government also intends to source other allied health professionals from tertiary institutions in this country to meet the growing demand for such trained workers in the healthcare system. That's what's making headlines at this hour. Stay with us. AP Update is next.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone.
What you mean? He take picture of that good-for-nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella here. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send pictures direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas, then pick install and we'll go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons?
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Hello, sir. Your credit card bill is due. Hello, sir. It's time for your monthly loan payment. Tired of credit door? Sign up for a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank and consolidate your debt into one low monthly payment. What's more, you will also earn interest on a built-in savings account. The pandemic has curbed many freedoms, but at Fidelity, our focus is to help regain your financial freedom. Visit a branch or speak to Fidelity Bank at 356-7764. COVID safety measures in place at all branches. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Loss Adjusters.
Final moments of the morning commute, and all the traffic is finally showing up now. Had a late start this morning, but just before 9, we saw a lot of the corridors filling up. Eastern Road single traffic line that backs all the way far back as Fox Hill Road is there. However, as you're getting closer to Blair and Shirley Street, it kind of lightens out. All your other routes there leaving the east, not as congested. Like Bernard Road, for example, traffic is slowed a bit leaving there, getting up there onto the Wolf Road intersection. Prince Charles Drive was an easier ride. Got some minor slowdowns out there, of course, but where we really have the late morning congestion is on both sides of Independence Drive. You've got heavy traffic that's leaving on the west lanes, getting out down to the Blue Hill Road roundabout, and then you've got heavy traffic that's stacked up in line on the east lanes, going into the East Street roundabout. But where we really have problems this morning is those southwest gateways getting into the city. Gladstone Road still at this hour is having traffic stuck on line there, getting out onto JFK, and some Walla Highway, the dual lanes there, only slowly getting out onto the Tony Swing and Darling roundabout area, and it's going to be a while yet. And then there's Carmichael Road. You've got slow traffic heading out onto Blue Hill Road. Blue Hill Road itself is a bit challenged because that roundabout there, Tony Swing and Darling, is having its heavy slow coming in from the highways, and so it's also slowing the traffic that's coming off the hill there at Blue Hill Road, and it's backing up all the way in the south on Blue Hill Road. All of Blue Hill Road is still stuck in a go slow mode. It's going to be some time this morning before that entire area gets cleared. This NASA traffic report brought to you this hour by Garden of Eden. They're in Eastwood, providing delicious Bahamian. Call them at 819-5574. That's 819-5574. They catch up on their Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning breakfast. The best boiling stew on the island. Delicious Bahamian breakfast served with grits or Johnny cake. That's 819-5574. Call now for easy directions and to make your order. With around this guy, look at traffic in real time at VANN.
This is AP News Minute. Today, President Biden will make Juneteenth a national holiday. He'll sign into law a bill Congress has sent him that makes June 19th a federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the U.S. Here's our Jackie Quinn.
The House voted overwhelmingly, 415 to 14, to make Juneteenth a new federal holiday.
Some Republicans opposed the legislation, including Montana Congressman Matt Rosendale, who called it an effort to celebrate, quote, identity politics. Juneteenth commemorates when the last enslaved Americans learned they were free, June 19, 1865, in Galveston, Texas.
They're worried that the extreme heat in the West could become routine. It was 115 degrees in Phoenix yesterday and could hit 117 today and tomorrow. A wave of brief internet outages hit dozens of financial institutions, airlines, and other companies this morning. I'm Rita Foley.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome to Morning Glen Business on this Thursday, June 17th, 2021. Welcome back to our Morning Glen listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan, along with Laverne Gardner in Grand Bahama. We are very pleased this morning to be talking about Grand Bahama and Freeport specifically. And it's called the REEF Committee, the Revitalization and Economic Expansion of Freeport. And Chair Robert Adams joins us this morning. Sir, very good to have you with us. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dwight. It's a pleasure to join you this morning and talk about the exciting work that the Committee for the Revitalization and Expansion of Freeport's economy is doing.
All right. So you've handed over to the government REEF Vision 2025, Planning for a Prosperous Future. Take us back, though. How did this come to be, and why was it felt that this was necessary? I'm sure we know the answer to that, but why was it felt this was necessary, and what are the goals, what you're intending to accomplish here?
The onset of the pandemic in early 2020 and the lockdown and the earlier impacts of Hurricane Dorian on the city, being matters that the Grand Bahama Port Authority had to grapple with, we decided that it would be a great opportunity for us to pause, take a look at where we are, and apply our minds to charting a way forward to try and restore Freeport's economy. So we use the lockdown period and kind of the slowdown of everything around us to brainstorm. That led to us pulling together 23 individuals from the community, business leaders, wider members of the community, and forming subcommittees. We charged those subcommittees with the responsibility to come up with proposals and ideas to take the city forward, move the city forward. And once we received those preliminary proposals and ideas from the subcommittees, we decided, well, the ideas were great, emanating from 23 individuals, but in order to really get the best outcome and the best product and the best, the wider community. And that resulted or led to us producing a consultation paper which we presented to the community in September of 2020 and invited feedback. We presented the proposals on a preliminary basis and expressly asked members of the community to tell us what they thought of those proposals. We received in excess of 3,000 responses, which in the height of the pandemic and the lockdowns that we were going through as a community, we thought was exceptional and reflected that not only was the Port Authority and these the small subcommittees that we had formed thinking about the way forward, but so was also many members of our community. And we were really fortified by the level of response. We were also happy to note that when we analyzed the responses, there was a theme that seemed to emerge from the responses, which was entirely consistent with the thinking of the members of the subcommittees. Fast forward from there, that was concluded in December of last year. We then set about drafting the action plan, which we initially thought would be produced fairly swiftly after the conclusion of the consultation exercise. But once we got into the drafting and preparation of that document, we discovered that one of the main issues that we needed to address was, what was happening in other jurisdictions like Freeport. Freeport is a special economic zone. And one of the concerns was, well, if we're going to promote Freeport, as everyone has been saying in the public domain and in public discourse, we need to promote Freeport. We need to make sure that we understand what it is we're promoting. And we need to make sure that our product is competitive. So we set about conducting an analysis of what other special economic zones, who are basically in the same business as Freeport, are doing. What are they offering the world to attract investment, new investment, to ultimately grow their economy and improve the lifestyle, the livelihoods of those who call Freeport or call their special economic zones home. Yeah. And we wanted to do the same thing. So that exercise took us a little longer than originally expected, but we think it was a worthwhile exercise because we discovered in so doing that in many respects, unfortunately, some of the policies and laws and rules that apply to Freeport is in the most competitive position as a special economic zone.
All right, let's talk about some of those and about the theme that you saw emerging. Tell us more about
the theme that we saw emerging was that the economy of Freeport had some natural strengths. And those natural strengths were directly linked to the maritime sector, the blue economy, the harbor, all things related to the water, basically. And when we took a step back and looked at the responses, most people said, well, if we are going to jumpstart Freeport's economy, what we ought to be doing is playing our strong hand or playing to our strong hand, as is said sometimes. And that is directly linked to the maritime sector. Despite all of the hardships and difficulties and challenges that Freeport has endured over the years, the one sector that continues to survive and provide jobs for the economy is directly linked to our harbor and our maritime sector. And we saw people, the theme emerging that everyone felt that we could become the best in the Caribbean at all things related to the blue economy. Mm-hmm. We also saw a theme emerging that, well, we have also become a part of the hurricane belt, if I can describe it as such. And whilst that has presented a number of Freeport, storm surge, sea level rise, let us perhaps look at these challenges as also opportunities. It's an opportunity for us to cast ourselves as the place where we can demonstrate to the world how a community could better prepare itself to withstand those impacts and bounce back, be more resilient when we encounter storm surges and floods and the like. And perhaps we ought to be thinking about, creating an academy, an academia, research and development facilities around that particular subject in Freeport. Make Freeport, the world's center for research in resiliency.
Much like how the Netherlands is when it comes to being under sea level and dams.
Precisely.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Precisely. So, let's look at that challenge and see what opportunities exist, positive opportunities for the community of Freeport. Mm-hmm. And so we saw that these were themes that emerged, and these are opportunities that we think are within our reach, within our grasp. And if we receive the support of the government, the Grand Bahama Port Authority, and other stakeholders, we think that we could actually make this idea work. And not only work, yes.
Yes, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just going back a little bit, because you were talking about overwhelming a lot of the potential for economic within the blue economy, specifically with maritime. So what were some of the ideas that were put forth in this document that was given to the government?
Well, with respect to the action plan, what we did was we set out immediate and short-term proposals. The first thing was we set out five points. The first was we need to align our laws and policies as it relates to Freeport with the most competitive standards in our rival special economic zones. And what we did was we identified the fact that we still have in Freeport anomalies relating to the real property tax exemption, which the government had promised that they would correct when they came into office, but still requires attention. We have issues concerning who governs the environment in Freeport. Prior to December 2019, the Port Authority governed and approved most environmental impact assessments, environmental management plans as of December 2019, without much notice, perhaps without any notice to be more accurate. The Environmental Planning and Protection Act was introduced, and that basically purported to strip away from the Port Authority its regulatory authority with respect to approving environmental impact assessments. And that's created a problem because it's created uncertainty among the business community in Freeport. We've been talking to the government about that and asking them to revisit that and amend it so that we could produce some clarity for. We have also proposed that with regard to work permits, and this is a very sensitive topic, that the government takes another look at how it applies its work permit policies to Freeport. We've also asked for the government to amend legislation to allow Bahamian entrepreneurs to sell and partner with foreign equity partners or joint venture with such partners if they wish to do so that they can have better access to capital skills and improve the return on their investments. We've asked for the government to consider implementing a policy or laws that would enable businesses, investors who have to comply with know your client obligations under the law, that would be easier. I mean, opening a bank account like everywhere else right now is a challenge. It's a difficult experience. I mean, we all go through it, have gone through it. And we're saying, let's find a way to centralize satisfying the know your client obligations. And this is what the kind of feedback that we've received from the community. The second thing we've said is the government and the Port Authority need to address the impediments to ease of doing business in Freeport. These all sound very basic, but they all relate to the blue economy, and they relate actually to all aspects of Freeport's economy. Thirdly, we've recommended that there be experts appointed to conduct a feasibility study and the best technical and financial solutions for safeguarding Freeport against storm surges and sea level rise. And this is exciting. And this is both Port Authority and government partnering, we say, with respect to hiring experts to examine what are the options for the North Shore. Our airport has had successive unhappy instances of flooding as storms pass, and we need to apply our minds. There are solutions out there, we believe, that need to be examined and explored. And based on the outcome of those feasibility studies, we need to then move to the stage of implementation so that what has occurred and resulted in setbacks to Freeport over the years does not occur again. We need to solve the problem.
Yeah. You mentioned immigration policy. We're going to get back to that because you have some very interesting views on that. But you talked about the objectives, the blue economy, the storm surge issue. But there's also in the third part of your 3 core objectives. This is very interesting. You're recommending that you reduce Freeport's overdependence on tourism. And so that's seems to be going against what we're seeing right now with Royal Caribbean and Carnival building cruise ports, or intending to build cruise ports, and with the purchase of the hotel. Let's talk about that, and why do you think that cannot go along with what you're being proposed? Why does that not fit?
I see it as actually being entirely consistent with what is being proposed. Royal Caribbean's project, the Carnival Cruise Port, are all directly linked to the blue economy.
Okay.
Those projects, once again, directly linked to opportunities connected with the ocean around us in Freeport. And so we don't see that as being inconsistent with what the objective is. In our paper, we say, we see Freeport as becoming the maritime center for the Americas if we're allowed to flourish. It could happen. The shipyard is a success story. Freeport, Grand Bahama, is geographically well placed to take advantage of some shipping lanes that naturally exist in the world. Were it not so, the container port probably would not be there. But it is, and it has survived, and it has thrived. We can talk about how opportunities for Bahamians in these sectors ought to be expanded. But in terms of where government policy and focus and the GBPA's policies and focus ought to be placed, we say that lies around the maritime sector and the blue economy. And there's a one more point, if I may be permitted to make this.
Sure.
With suggesting that the emphasis should be placed on the blue economy and the maritime sector, we're not suggesting that no emphasis or there are no linkages to other aspects and parts of our economy. Obviously, in the blue economy, there are also opportunities which are connected with the water and the sea, but at the same time, they're also connected with tourism. They're also economy and the the creative community, also connected to the water. Here's a case in point. There is very little reason why Grand Bahama could not become, in my view, a place where we have a calendar of events involving sports fishing, diving, fly fishing, which are directly linked to tourism and would attract people to Grand Bahama in droves. Those are big industries in other countries. And we have the space, we have the land, we have some of the most beautiful beaches in the Bahamas, on Grand Bahama. These are opportunities directly linked to the blue economy, once again, that could be harnessed and provide great jobs for our community. So our thrust is, let's look at the ocean. Let's look at all facets of economic opportunity linked to the ocean and to the sea, and let's go after them as a community. I think we would be very surprised at what the results would be for Grand Bahama.
Mr. Adams, based on that being the focus, and then, we think back to the announcements that were made, I think in 2018, in terms of the government wanting to make Grand Bahama, Freeport, the technology hub of this region. Did that figure in with your report in terms of doing that?
So one of the questions or one of the points that was presented to the community in our consultation paper was precisely that. Whether Grand Bahama ought to go down the path of becoming the tech hub of the region. And the results of the survey, the public consultation exercise on that particular topic was interesting. We had somewhere around 8% of the over 3,000 respondents who supported the idea that the government and the Port Authority ought to place its focus on converting Freeport into a tech hub, the Silicon Valley of the Caribbean. That is what the results of the consultation exercise and survey showed. There does not appear to be widespread community support for that.
Oh, wow. Why do you think that is? Is it not an understanding of what that would mean, or what's the issue?
Well, as to why that would be, I think there's several reasons for that. The first is, in our educational system, I think that the emphasis and focus on careers in technology historically has not been perhaps what it is today. I think that's the first thing. So it's an educational and exposure issue. So I don't think that there has been sufficient success stories of new businesses in the tech sector in Freeport. People tend to feel confident when they see other businesses and sectors actually succeeding and growing and doing well. I mean, well, at the outset, we're not there. You cannot point to a large or significant number of businesses that are successful in an area. So I think responses at this stage are as low as they were.
But you're not
suggesting... I think those are
suggesting...
perhaps two reasons why the level of response and support for that is what it was. I mean, we haven't been educated about it a lot. And secondly, you can't see, touch, and feel You can't see the success around you in that area.
You're not
That's not to say it's
suggesting
not
abandoning
possible.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
You still think that is something that we need to look into. That is something that
Yeah, and in
Freeport
our
can do?
Vision 2025 paper, which was produced with the support and assistance of KPMG, we've not left out of the equation and the process some focus being put on digitizing the economy and promoting tech industries. We've not left that out at all. What we've said is what we need to do is jumpstart. We need to move from a position of low to no growth to rapid growth in the shortest period of time.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, absolutely. And we have been concerned that we are not seeing that, as you mentioned, in the educational system, that push there. Lots of talk, but not the push to get people educated and on board with this. So that is going to be a challenge. All right, we've got to take a break. When we come back, we want to talk more about what happens next. And we also want to get into your views on immigration and why you think some adjustments need to be made. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're talking with Robert Adams with the Reef Committee, Revitalization of Freeport. We're talking about that. Stay with us. We're back after this.
Music, please. Oh, I'm coming home to you. Music, please. Sweet home, Grand Bahama. Music, please. Nowhere else would ever do. Music, please. Come cracking practice in September.
You invest in your children, your home, and your community. But are you investing in your financial future? At CFAL, we specialize in investment management, retirement planning, mutual funds, and private wealth management. Our team of experts never stops helping you plan for tomorrow. Because tomorrow begins today. Call us at 502-7010 to see what our financial advisors can do for you. CFAL. Growing wealth for future generations.
Beulah, gal, can you believe this? We are now the patrol queens of the neighborhood.
We now large and in charge. So we need to check out what's going on in everybody's yard. What about that gun that we know that Junior and his homeboys just ran out? Can we report that too?
Of course we can.
But we could be in deep trouble if they find out.
We need to report what we see, Beulah. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami.
So then we can report everything? Guns, where they hiding the drugs, who shoot who part of which gang, or who disturbing the peace with the loud music and the motorcycles.
Then our neighborhood will be the best in the Bahamas, and everybody gonna want to come live here. Gal.
So what we waiting on? What's the number?
If you see something, say something. Let us all pitch in and stop the crime before it's your time. Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands. Or text us through the Crack Crime Bahamas app. Stop the crime before it's your time.
There comes a time when the game tolerates no spectators, only players. There comes a time when we must recognize that our individual aspirations shape our collective destiny. There comes a time when getting in the game, despite the risks, despite the challenges, regardless of the cost, is simply the right thing to do. There comes a time when we must find our hearts, find our soul, and pursue our purpose for the greater good of all, for country, for humanity. There comes a time when we must manifest our true greatness. Yes, there comes a time, and that time is now. So let's get down to the essentials. The essentials. Serious radio for serious people committed to advancing the national conversation.
The Essentials with Hubert Edwards, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Are we on the air?
Yes, you are.
Oi. Hello, Ma. I'd like to hear a new beat on the request
Oh,
line.
okay, you get it. When I was a rising star.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. After a $23.2 million loss in 2019, domestic general insurers registered net income of $17.21 million in 2020. That's according to the Insurance Commission of the Bahamas and their recently released unaudited consolidation results for the industry. Gross premiums as at December 2020 amounted to $381.8 million compared to $372.5 million a year earlier. Reinsurance expenses totaled $280 million and $267 million, respectively. Superintendent of Insurance Michelle Fields saying despite the shocks of Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic, the industry has remained stable. Read more on this in today's Guardian business section. Construction on the Grand Bahama Utility Company's $5 million, 3 million gallon reverse osmosis plant is on in late August. Currently, approximately 70% of Grand Bahama has access to potable water, and the completion of this new plant is expected to provide potable water to the remaining 30% who have been without potable water since Hurricane Dorian struck the island in September 2019. GBUC Director of Operations Filcher Grant calling the recent arrival of the initial RO units, the reverse osmosis units, and backup generation units a milestone achievement for the utility company, which will enable it to expand capacity as part of a modernization and long-term storm hardening plan. Again, details on this story in today's Guardian business section. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX. From Wednesday, your market movers, AML Foods Limited moving 1,500 shares, closing up 1 cent to $6.29. Commonwealth Bank moving 1,038,062 shares, unchanged at $2.89. CIBC First Caribbean Bank moving 1,550, up 23 cents to $9.98. Consolidated Water down 8 cents to $2.49. Emira Incorporated down 2 cents to $11.46. The BISX All Share Index closing at 1,974.16, up 12.09. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Are we on the air?
Yes, you are.
Hello, Ma. On the request line.
Okay, you get it. When I was a rising star, West End was the place to go. Some never thought I would get this far. I thank the Lord I still got my show. Junior Wish could play that guitar. That boy could sing till he make you cry. Then even end up to the star, Austin Grant's place. Party till the morning light, and that's no lie. Sweet home Grand Bahama.
Music, please.
Oh, I'm coming home to you.
Music, please.
Sweet home Grand Bahama.
Music, please.
We are back here with Morning Blend Business on this Thursday morning. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. We are talking with Robert Adams. He's the chair of the Reef Committee, looking at the revitalization and expansion of Freeport's economy. So before the break, you mentioned it, immigration issues, you feel, are they holding back the development, the progress that could be made in Freeport? Tell us about that. Tell us why do you think that is and what needs to be done?
Well, I don't know if I would cast it so high as holding back development in Freeport. The point that I've sought to advance and articulate and offer for consideration by the community is that we need to be, as I had said earlier, a little bit more sophisticated and refined in the way we look and consider our immigration and apply our immigration policy. Concerning work permits and even permanent residency. We know that, the temptation is to say that there should be no work permits issued in times of high unemployment. But in times of high unemployment, the objective is to attract new investment, new investors, new businesses to our economy, to create jobs and to expand opportunities. Naturally, in the Bahamas, we have, some very bright, very intelligent individuals. I mean, we are an extraordinary group of people as a country, particularly given our size. But we're small. I mean, that's the reality. We're small. And yes, we punch above our weight class as a country in many areas. And personally, I'm proud of that. However, when you step back and look at our economy objectively, a lot of our successes have been directly connected to foreign direct investment. And we need a lot of it. We need a lot of new foreign direct investment because the unfortunate reality for us is that we have a huge amount of debt. And we can have a long discussion, probably for days, about how we arrived at where we are today. But the reality is we have it. We need to find a way to create jobs and opportunities for our young people coming out of high school. And, 300,000 people, 400,000 people, as we are as a country, is just simply not enough to make those opportunities a reality. We can do some of it, but not all of it. So we need to make our country as competitive as possible to attract foreign direct investment, while at the same time creating opportunities for training our local sisters so that they can take advantage of the opportunities presented. And when I say take advantage of the opportunities presented, I'm not just talking about a Bahamian being trained to work as an employee. When I speak of taking advantage of the opportunities presented by growth in our economy, I'm speaking about also the Bahamian entrepreneurial class. That's also included in expanding the opportunities. But when we bring in foreign direct investment, they also want where Bahamian skills are not readily available, they wish to have the opportunity to bring in foreign talent. And I say the reality is, if we have niche sectors of our economy that are presently not fully developed, we need to look at our work permit policy as a tool of national development. And that tool of national development is we need to bring in the expertise, allow it to come in for a limited period of time. And we need to be very clear in terms of the expectations of the Bahamian government. And most importantly, we need to better monitor the training programs. And I think that's where we have faltered a lot in the application of our immigration policy. And that's not all the time the fault of the foreign investor. That's a responsibility of ours, our administrative system, our immigration department, our Department of Labor, our employers. We need to find a better way, a more effective and efficient way to hold employers who bring in to account, to ensure that there's the knowledge transfer in place. And we need to say to them, after a certain period of time, that is it. In certain countries, you're given a 5-year window. In certain countries, you're given a 7-year window. In certain countries, you're given a 10-year window. And at the end of that period, they know you don't come and ask for another work permit. Mm-hmm. By that time, you must have trained someone. And certainly, and there's no discussion about it. You just don't apply. It's not available.
All right. So you did say...
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
We need to be a little bit more nuanced, refined, focused on how to make the application of the policy effective and work for us as a tool of national development, instead of throwing, if I can use this expression, throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you said we do need growth. We do need to grow the population, but we do need to protect Bahamians and Bahamian workers where they do have the skills
Absolutely.
to do the job. All right. So
Absolutely.
how do we do that? How do we do the part to protect? That might be the easiest part, even though we haven't been doing a good job about that. But how do we get to grow this population to a point where we can be seen as being a place where there can be opportunities, as opposed to this little tiny town that we are basically.
So here's how we grow our economy. We first of all have to have features, policies, concessions that are best in class. And I'm speaking to Freeport. We have to benchmark what we offer to the world against what the more successful special economic zones offer to the world. It makes no sense offering as a service something which is not competitive. That's the first step. The second step is we need to say to the world, we understand that you will need foreign labor for a period of time in certain sectors. In other sectors, for example, certain parts of our financial services industries, we have a lot of Bahamians who are well qualified. In tourism, and the hospitality sector, once again, it's probably very difficult to make a case for a work permit in that sector. But on the other hand, in some of the technical areas relating to the maritime sector, the blue economy, whilst we have some Bahamians who have seen the wisdom of training themselves to take advantage of opportunities in those sectors, we do not have Bahamians in sufficient numbers to support those sectors. And so, in my view, what we need to do is become very focused in terms of what are the sectors we want to see grow over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years. Be strategic about it. And we also need to be realistic about it. You know, it makes no sense saying to someone, you can have a work permit for 1 year. That doesn't help. That person has a family. They're not going to come and bring their family for 1 year on a commitment. They have children. They're not going to do that. So let's be realistic. We give them a work permit for a reasonable period of time. They come in. You have to look at them as a source of revenue and makers of economic activity in our country. They come in, they rent homes. They go to our grocery stores. They use our personal services. You know, they spend money in other sectors of our economy. That's how we need to look at those individuals. But at the same time, we hold to the fire the feet of the employers to ensure that when they say they're going to be training a Bahamian to eventually assume the position presently occupied by an expatriate worker, that in fact occurs. And we have to do it in a way that is efficient, in a way that is not off-putting, in a way that is sensible.
Yeah. So we basically need a plan. We need to know what we want to be and where we want to go, and then let that guide us, as opposed to the foreign direct investor telling us what we're going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's been a challenge. It's been a major challenge for this place, but
well,
yeah.
It's a question of vision and leadership. And so once we articulate the vision, we make it plain. That should direct our path.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we should implement policies and hold those who are responsible for administering those policies to account.
All right, so I want to find out on what happens next. We'll get to that in a bit, but we've got a couple calls coming in. Let's get these really quickly, and then we'll talk about what's next with Vision 2025. But caller, good morning. You're on Morning Blend Business.
Yes, good morning to each of you. C. Alan Johnson. I think his last number of statements made is very important for us to address. But I would just want to say, personally, I've read the report, and over the last 14 years under the leadership of the GBPA, I have seen and heard most of them, as well as individuals, have expressed the same to them over the last decade plus. And so for me, this is simply a book of ideas, but his emphasis on the fact of where's the plan and where's the implementable strategies be looked at, critique, as well as being able to engage the principals in regards to the steps that is going to be necessary. because other than that, I think this is just going to be another book of ideas that has been expressed by the Grand Bahama Port Authority individually and some of them collectively by their leadership over the last 14 years. When can we have that strategy? When can we have that plan beyond the book of ideas?
Okay. All right. Robert Adams, what do you say to that? With a lot of these proposals, as he said, ideas have been laid on the table and they collect dust. But what happens next? Who is it up to advance this forward?
We understand the sentiment that was just expressed by the caller. And at the very outset, when we established the committee, we recognized that historically there have been many reports, many documents produced about the way forward for Freeport that have, as the caller has said, collected dust. That's why in our report, what we did as best we could to be as specific as possible with our ideas. Secondly, we also sought to put around those ideas who would be responsible for implementation. So if you look at our action plan, you would see that we specifically identify the parties and stakeholders that, in our view, would be responsible for moving those ideas forward. In some instances, you will see we've identified the government. In some instances, we've identified the government and the Port Authority. In some instances, we've identified the Port Authority by itself as being responsible, the responsible party for moving the idea forward. The third thing that we did in our action plan, which I think makes it quite different from previous documents, is we've proposed timelines, a timetable for action to be taken. And I think that's important. And that demonstrates that our focus is not just simply to have a discussion about ideas. We've applied our minds to the length of time we estimate it ought to take for implementation of some of these ideas. And in the action plan, some of them are 3 months, some of them are 4 months, some of them are 6 months. But if we're serious, we think that those are the time periods that we ought to consider. Now, in terms of making this a reality, moving these ideas forward, the situation in Freeport is that nothing can actually be done without both the cooperation of the Port Authority and government. And in some instances, government, Port Authority, and its stakeholders. And some of the challenges that we've had in the past is that when ideas are produced, presented, articulated, that necessary cooperation has not been forthcoming. And where it has been forthcoming, it has not been timely, and we've missed opportunities. We've had opportunities basically slip through our fingers. So I accept and I agree that in order for this to be different, ultimately, we need cooperation. And we've presented it to the government. We've asked for them to review, consider it, and give us their cooperation. The Port Authority has confirmed that the shareholders, the principals, they're willing to step forward and follow through on the commitments articulated in the plan. So they're already at the table. They're willing to work. They're willing to make the investment. They're willing to do what is necessary financially as set out in the plan. We now need the government to come to the table.
Right.
And I can say that the government, when we produced the consultation paper, they did respond. They engaged us. We had a dialogue. In fact, when I say government, I'm speaking not only about the current administration, but also members of the opposition. Because we don't see this as, unique. We've presented this plan to both the F&M and the PLP. We take the view that this is bigger than any particular political stripe.
Yeah.
or color. This is about our community, and this is about our future, and this is about survival of Freeport's economy. So the caller is right. What's going to make this different? That's a fair question to ask. What will make it different is if we get government's cooperation. If we don't receive government's cooperation, it will be the same.
My goodness. The title is Vision 2025. That's very soon. I mean, do you think if you do get the cooperation that you will be able to see these tangible differences by that time? It's right around the corner.
The short answer is yes. We think we could, with cooperation, focus, and effort, and capital, we can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I am reminded about what was achieved in Freeport when former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram was in charge, to put it that way. Within a space of 24 months, we saw enormous surge in economic activity in Freeport, which I don't think has been repeated in modern times. That was at a time when there was close cooperation, communication, and dialogue between the government of the day and the leaders of the Port Authority. That's when we saw the establishment of the Grand Bahama Shipyard, the establishment of the Freeport Container Port, and many other new businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Freeport's population grew, jobs were available. In fact, people from other parts of the Bahamas migrated to Freeport for economic opportunities in those years.
Mm-hmm.
We can get back there with the cooperation if it's at hand, and we can do so within the time frame stated. It's a question of will. Yeah. We've wasted too much time as a community bickering and fighting about who did whom wrong in the past.
Right.
The Grand Bahama Port Authority, clearly, they're not perfect. Nor is the government perfect. Nor are many of our stakeholders perfect. Nobody's perfect. What we're saying in REEF, or through our action plan, is let's focus on the future. Let's focus on getting it right and executing it for those who are to come after us so that they have opportunities. We've squandered enough time bickering, not cooperating.
Yep.
Among ourselves.
Time is now. Robert Adams, Thank you so much. We have to talk again soon, hopefully when we get a firm response from the government on this and see where things go. But thank you so much for setting this up. And if people want to read the document or learn more about REEF, what can they do?
Well, the document is available on our... we have an email address. I've often said to people who've reached out to me individually, look, REEF is not a closed body. If you have ideas, you have energy, you have goodwill, and wish to see Freeport revitalized, by all means, we welcome you. We welcome your support.
Okay.
This is a coalition of those who wish to see better for Freeport.
Excellent. Excellent stuff. Thank you again. Really appreciate talking with you this morning. Robert Adams with REEF. All right. Laverne, that's it for us today. I'll talk with you again next week. Thank you. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight, Strachan, have a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green next.
Thank you.